This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order and do roll call. So, Commissioner Anaya?
Here.
Commissioner Brennan?
Here.
Commissioner Donner?
Here.
Commissioner Powers?
Here.
And I am here.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. Do I want to be here? No, just kidding. No, I do. It feels like we haven't left, but okay, so let's go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the salute to the New Mexico flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I
Salute the flag of the state of New Mexico and to see a symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Okay, first up is approval of the agenda. And in looking at the agenda here, it looks like we have the 3 public hearings and then a chance for public comment. Of course, the public is able to speak during the hearings as well. So just to let you know about that, but we do have general public comment as item 6, matters from staff as number 7, and number 8 is matters from commissioners, and then a workshop on capital projects before we adjourn. So it's the pleasure of the commission. Are you guys good with that, or any additions or changes?
That works for me.
Okay, we just need a motion to approve the agenda. Second, anyone?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Low battery, maybe? Okay. You guys can hear me out there? Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and call the first case, which is a public hearing request for variance. This is a quasi-judicial procedure, and the public notice of this meeting has been posted as required. The case is being heard under the provisions required by the New Mexico Court of Appeals, intended to protect the rights of all parties and their witnesses, and the swearing in of all parties giving testimony. The affected parties will have the right to cross-examine persons giving testimony, and we will, in a moment here, confirm that there are no conflicts of interest or ex parte communication. So the commission here tonight, we're going through a quasi-judicial process. We will be basically functioning in the role of that, similar to a court of law. Our job is to extract all of the facts and all of the evidence related to what we're going to hear, and then that way, and then compare against the town ordinances to decide if something is in line or out of line with those. We're going to hear the evidence presented by all the parties involved. We'll be able to ask questions. We're able to cross-examine. People who are in attendance here who have questions can go ahead and get those answered, and we'll deliberate amongst ourselves as a commission to render that decision. So just to start off with, we need to ask as certification if public notice of this hearing has been posted as required. And so we do have our interim PNZ administrator with us tonight remotely, Tim Dvorak. And Tim, if you could certify that for us.
Yes, certainly. That has been posted.
Okay, thank you. And we see, and so next we have to check and see with each of the commissioners if you have any conflicts of interest or have had any ex parte contact or communications with any of the parties. And so, Commissioner Donner,
I have not.
Commissioner Brennan,
I have not.
I have not.
I have not. I have not.
Okay, and that includes conflicts of interest,
Yes, no conflicts.
no conflicts,
No conflicts. No conflicts.
and so, Commissioner Knight. Okay, and I have no conflicts. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna turn it over to staff to go ahead and present this first case.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Jaramillo. Typically, before any of this starts, usually they have anybody who's going to participate swear in.
Okay, we can do it now instead of at each one. That's fine. Anyone who plans to testify or speak, we have to swear you in. And so if you guys, anyone who's going to speak would like to come up to the podium here, and then I guess we'll have to check online as well. So let me ask caller number 12, do you plan on speaking to this matter? Unmute number 12.
Yes, I do plan on speaking to a matter, not this one.
Okay. Is it acceptable to swear them in all, you have to do each one, right? Okay. So, caller number 12, can you please state your name and your address, please?
John Abrams, 26 Moondust Lane.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to, well, we're gonna do a group, just as a group. Okay. So caller number 9, can you unmute and articulate to this matter? Are you able to unmute caller number 9? Yes.
Oh.
Okay, Jesus has caller number 11. So caller number 11, are you going to speak to this matter? Nothing from caller 11. Okay, caller 10. Caller 10, you've been unmuted. Do you wish to speak to this matter? Okay, caller 9. Caller 9, you've been unmuted.
Hello, yes.
Hi there. Would you like to
Hello.
speak to
I would like to speak this evening on item number 5. My name is Meredith Conant, and I live at 3 Corte Martes here in Edgewood.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We will have you swear in when we get to that item. Okay, caller number 8. Do you wish
I do not intend to speak.
Okay. Caller 7. Caller 7, do you wish to address this matter? No? Okay, caller number 6. Caller number 6, do you wish to address this matter?
I will not speak.
Okay, and caller number 3.
I called in, but I'm not sure what number I am.
Okay, I think you're caller number 3. Would you like to address this matter?
Yes, my name is Clarence Sanchez. Yes, I'm in support of the Appaloosa being paved.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name and address.
67 Steeplechase, Clarence Sanchez, right on the corner of Appaloosa.
Okay, thank you. All right, Jesus, let's go back down. We have our attorney, Mr. Najjar, with us. James Thomas, would you like to speak? You'll have to unmute yourself.
No, I'm not going to speak.
Okay, thank you. And John Fizinski?
No, I don't plan to speak.
Okay. And Linda Burke.
I would like to speak to item number 5.
Okay. And we have Michael.
Yes, I'm here to listen to item 4. I want to speak if I'm asked questions.
Okay. And we have one called Dream. Is that ours? That's ours. Okay. Have I missed? Okay, we have caller 14 arrived. Caller number 14, would you like to address any of these matters tonight? Caller 14 that just arrived, would you like to address any matters on the agenda tonight? Okay.
Yes, that's the project.
Okay, I'm sorry, could you say your name and address for me?
This is Cheryl Hubbard at 49 Hill Ranch Road. I'd just like to address the general comments on the project, capital project.
Okay, thank you. General comments, and then I think we need to check caller 13.
Hello?
Hi, caller 13. Can you state your name and address? Caller 13? Okay. Okay. Jesus.
Hello?
There she is.
Oh, there you are. Okay. Hi there. Would you like to address the commission this evening on any of the matters on the agenda?
Well, on 2, actually. So first of all, my question is, does the advertisement in the legal notices have to accurately reflect the application?
Are you talking about the legal postings? Is this Counselor Simmons?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. So yes, was there an issue?
Yes, the legal notice and the matter of section or of item 5 do not match. If you read the legal notice and you read the application, they're quite different. For example, the legal notice in the newspaper refers to tracts 4 and 5, comma, north 1/2, south 1/2, comma, section 4, township 10 north, range 7 east, and the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter of section 5, township 10 north, range 7 east. And my reading of the application is we're not dealing with sections, meaning 1 square mile, sections 4 and 5, but only sections 5, and it refers to tracts 4 and 5 of what? There's a lot of tracts 4 and 5 out there. It would be lands of someone, but that's not reflected in the legal notice. So this refers to 2 sections that are being dealt with, and tracts 4 and 5 of what? So are we sure we can even hear number 5?
Okay, so my understanding is that you're wondering tracts where, and secondly, you are thinking this applies only to tract 5 and not tract 4?
No, I'm talking about sections 4 and 5. That's 2 square miles. Section 4 is the first section addressed, and it runs from 344 to Horton Road. Section 5 runs from Horton Road and a mile to the west. And what I'm saying is the application is more accurate, but the legal notice is inaccurate.
Okay. Does the legal notice refer to sections instead of tracts?
No, it refers to tracts. May I start again? The subdivision of 2 lots into 8 at tracts 4 and 5. But tracts 4 and 5 of what? Then it says, comma, north half, south half, comma, section 4. S4 would mean a section. And that's the section between 344 and Horton Road. And then it goes on to say there's an and after range 7 east.
Okay.
And it says the northeast quarter, comma, southeast quarter. So a comma is typically of. Southeast quarter, comma, or of, section 5, township 10 north, range 7 east, of 19.9 acres each.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think we're only addressing property in section 5, but we don't know the property's name. So I'm questioning, as this speaks to 2 square miles and a property somewhere in those 2 square miles. Actually, there's 2 properties in that 2 square miles. But when you look at what's being addressed tonight, it's speaking only of, well, let's see, even the letters that went out, they reflect what is in the legal notice. But it's still inaccurate in that it doesn't tell you what lands, it just tracts 4 and 5. You can have a dozen tracts 4 and 5 in a square mile. And then it...
Councillor Simmons, I think that is an important issue. Thank you for bringing it up, just so that we can verify that it has been posted as required. I would like to first ask Tim, our staff, to address that, because he did confirm that it was posted as required. So maybe, Tim, you can address it.
Certainly. So I'm sorry, please go ahead.
Yes, indeed, he did certify that it was published, and what was given him was published, but what was published was not accurate. So his certification is limited to his experience in reading legal descriptions. I suspect he is not as well trained as you would want, due to the fact that he has suddenly found himself in a position where he's having to learn as he goes. And I really take my hat off to him. But his certification only certifies that it got in the paper.
Okay, Tim, would you like to address the differences there in the legal notice?
Certainly. I'm taking a look at the parcel map here real quick. Okay. No, Ms. Simmons is correct. They should have been separated out. The addresses themselves are listed, the physical addresses, but the legal description does need to be tweaked. She is correct in that, and I do apologize. I don't know if that item can be heard or not. I'll defer that to legal.
Mr. Najjar, can you speak to this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Jaramillo, members of the commission. So it appears based on Tim's comments that the legal description was inaccurate, but the physical address was correct. I would say that in an abundance of caution, we can renotice and reset this hearing, just given that the notice technically was incorrect.
Okay. Thank you. I apologize for that discrepancy there.
Okay, let me check with the commission here.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely. Commissioner Powers.
Tim, do we have copies of the legal notice that was published?
Yes.
They're on the.
Yes, it's in the packet for all three.
Could we ask, I know that Tim Oden's in the audience and he did the survey on this. Can we ask him to verify that this legal description is incorrect?
You can make a motion to hear from him.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to hear from Tim Oden if he's willing to speak on this.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Mr. Oden, would you be willing to come speak to this?
Do you need a copy of the legal notice in order to verify? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Can you, just one moment, please? Is his, sound on? I just want to make sure that everyone can hear you online as well.
You want to swear me?
I think we needed to ensure that it was posted correctly before we actually opened the hearing.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, thank you for listening tonight, and thank you for being here and calling this special meeting that's been delayed at least 2 or 3 times. We sure appreciate it. You're doing double duty until you get a planning and zoning commission set. We do appreciate you taking the effort to come out tonight to hear these applicants, first of all. Thank you very much for that. Reading this over, it appears that the description is partially correct. The description appears to have been taken from the deed. If you look at the quitclaim deed to Tammy, evidently Mr. Dvorak took the entire description that's described in this warranty deed. Half of this property is being subdivided, the other half is not. So it looks like that's where this discrepancy came from. She does in fact own both pieces. Both pieces do accurately describe her land per this quitclaim deed, but he simply included another piece of land that's described in there in section 4 in her warranty deed that is not subject to the subdivision. So the description is an accurate description that was publicized of all of her property, but not all of it's being subdivided tonight as part of this application. So that's where the discrepancy came from. It didn't come from mid-air. Mr. Dvorak just erroneously just pulled the entire description from the deed rather than the application itself, or the plat itself for that matter. So I thought I'd just point that out to you, that that's where the discrepancy appears to have come from. Madam Chair, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So, Mr. Oden, then it would be accurate to say that this posting includes the land that's being subject of the hearing tonight? Yes, it does. It just includes more land than is the subject. It includes some other land that she owns that is not subject to this application tonight. Okay. Then I have a question for our attorney, if I might. Mr. Najjar, it's occurring to me that the purpose of the notice is to notify the neighbors and everyone who might be affected by this application, and that we have done so even though we've over-described or described other lands that are also not a subject to the application. So I'm wondering if it's proper to proceed, given that we have fulfilled the purpose of the notice, which was to make everyone aware who might be affected by the application. Yeah, even the owners of it. Is he with us?
Oh, I apologize. I was speaking and didn't realize my mute was on, but thank you, Commissioner Powers. Hearing now that the property was accurately described, at least in part, including the entire amount to be subdivided tonight, simply just including an additional parcel of land, then yes, I do think notice has been effected properly and we could move forward.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And Commissioners, I just wanted to ask the applicants if they're okay if we proceed. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you just for confirming that for us. All right, so we were at the point of identifying who needed to be sworn in. And thank you so much, former Councilor Simmons, for bringing this to our attention, and Mr. Oden for clarifying as well. So at this point in time, I think those who are going to speak can come forward up to the podium, and we'll do the swearing in, and then, and then also those who are online can as well.
This for all matters?
This is only for the first matter on the agenda, which is the application of Smith Engineering Company for a grading and drainage variance for the Town of Edgewood Appaloosa Lane paving project, and NPM Town of Edgewood, Santa Fe County, New Mexico. Sorry, I was told I have to do them separately, so, I'm sorry, what? Okay.
Item 3 on the agenda.
Item 3 on the agenda, okay. Hi, guys. And so I think you just raised your right hand, yes? And do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give at this hearing, or if the position, the testimony you're about to give at this time shall be the truth, nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury, so help you God? All right. And do I need to hear that from each caller?
If they're going to speak.
Okay. All right, so, Jesus, can you unmute? Are you able to unmute them? Yes. We're doing this as a group, so if you can go ahead and unmute. And anyone who wants to speak, who is joining us online, thanks for bearing with us in this kind of hybrid model here. But for agenda item number 3, which is for the Appaloosa Lane item, can you please affirm that you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You have to unmute.
I do.
Okay, thank you. And who was that? Can I have your name?
My name is Clarence Sanchez.
Thank you, sir. Any others? Jesus, will you unmute all? Okay, okay. And former Councilor Abrams, were you going to speak to item 3? You have to unmute.
I was going to speak to item 5.
Okay. Am I missing any others? You can go ahead and unmute if you need to be sworn in at this time. Okay, let's go ahead and proceed. So Tim, at this time, you can go ahead and present this.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Jaramillo. And I will address the parcel map issue for the legal on item 5 later. That was taken from the Santa Fe County parcel map, so I will speak to that then. Let me get back
Okay.
to...
That's fine.
Okay. One moment, please. Okay. All right, so for item 3, we have an application of Smith Engineering Company for a grading and drainage variance for the Town of Edgewood Appaloosa Lane paving project. and NPM, Town of Edgewood, Santa Fe County, New Mexico. The attachments in the packet include the variance application, the letter of variance intent, attachment 1, which is plan and profiles of Appaloosa Lane and Steeplechase, the intersection comparison of the town ordinance requirement, the blue line, versus the proposed variance, black line. Attachment 2, plan and profiles of Appaloosa Lane and Edgewood 7 intersection comparison of town ordinance requirements, blue line, versus the proposed variance, black line. A preliminary set of construction plans for Town of Edgewood, Appaloosa Lane Street and drainage improvements, 16 pages. The NFHL data sheet, aerial views of abutting property owners within 500 feet, the letter to abutting property owners, and the proof of public notice. So upon completion of the proposed preliminary set of plans for the Town of Edgewood, Appaloosa Lane street and drainage improvements by Smith Engineering, it was discovered that the town's requirement for grade percentages under public right-of-way standards requires that grades that at the approach of intersections shall not exceed 3% for 100 linear feet, excluding vertical curve distance. Because of the present topography of Appaloosa Lane, going by this ordinance requirement would create excessive fill quantities at the intersection of Appaloosa Lane and Steeplechase Drive, and increase cut quantities at the intersection of Appaloosa Lane and Edgewood 7. Smith Engineering's proposal is to instead utilize the New Mexico Department of Transportation State Access Management Manual requirements, which allows for a 2% grade for 20 feet at the approach to an intersection. And with this, that will reduce the fill required for the Appaloosa Lane and Steeplechase Drive intersection, as well as decrease the cut quantities for the Appaloosa and Edgewood 7 intersection. This variance will additionally not alter the existing drainage patterns. And the Technical Advisory Committee met on Wednesday, December 29th, 2021 at 3 p.m. In attendance were myself, Chuck Williams, our road department supervisor, Wally Starks, Santa Fe County Fire Prevention, Lone Chavez, interim deputy clerk, and Cody Sipes from Smith Engineering. The committee found that this proposal makes sense in order to deal with the topography of the road and to reduce the impact of the street and drainage improvements projects. The only issue needing to be modified is the interior turn radius of the proposed driveway access cuts, which by fire code are required to be 28 feet, and that can be modified later. And lastly, staff received multiple calls on this application. However, once the variance was explained, citizen concerns were abated. And I'm not sure if anyone from Smith Engineering is here tonight or not.
Yes, we do.
Oh, fantastic. So I will let them go ahead and say what they need to.
Okay. Are they presenting under applicant?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So first, before we move to that stage, I just wanted to ask the commission if there are any questions for staff for Tim.
I have one question.
Commissioner Powers.
Tim, since the applicant is really the town of Edgewood, and Smith is doing, I understand, is acting as our agent or so in doing this. Mm-hmm. Is that an appropriate way to present it, given that it's the town is the real client or applicant?
I think so in this instance, just so that we have this in front of the public to, make sure that we follow our own procedures as well, so that we're not just giving ourselves an exception, because we definitely want to have the public input on everything in case anything wasn't perhaps considered or needs to be tweaked.
I see. Thank you, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Anaya.
Tim, I have a question for you. Do you have a copy of the state management manual on that 2% grade for 20 foot? Do we have that in file?
We currently do not, no.
Can you, place that in the file after you get back?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, I'll call the applicant to present argument.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, commissioners. So kind of, Tim did a good job describing this. One thing I would add is that when this came about, we weren't sure. We were going through design criteria with the town, and we weren't sure if the subdivision ordinance would even be applicable to this type of, at least in my case, I'm not sure if it was. So we were going through this process just to make sure it was open, transparent, and we didn't want to miss anything. So I know it seems kind of odd. We're up here representing the town for the town to consider its own project. So, and that said, so the exhibit, the application we provided you guys in November, we were very early in design. So you can tell on the construction drawings, if you compare the profiles that were in the variance application to construction drawings, the profiles have been updated since then. And that is because we have made some minor changes to the design. One thing that this variance would do for the town and for the residents there that Tim didn't describe is that the driveways, the first driveway closest to Steeplechase on the north side, I believe it's a lot. Let me look up the number real quick. At 35 Appaloosa Lane, that is a driveway that would be impacted if the variance wasn't approved, and also the driveway at 1 Appaloosa Lane, which is adjacent to Edgewood 7. So those two locations, if we had to maintain a 3% for 100 feet, the driveway at 1 Appaloosa Lane, it would lower significantly to reach the new grade of the road, and the one at 35, I believe I said Appaloosa Lane, would be raised to reach a new grade of the road. So we're trying to minimize that impact to those two driveways as much as possible. And then I don't know if any of you have been out to Appaloosa Lane, but if you do go down it, it does not seem to, you do notice when you turn on Appaloosa Lane that it is steep at first, and we will have to cut to mitigate some of that, but we don't need to go to a 3% for 100 feet.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Anaya.
Cody, can you tell us what page you're looking at on the drawings?
Okay, so the construction drawings, I'm looking at the plan and profiles.
HC04?
I'm sorry, I got the address from, I'm looking for the plan and profile. Okay. So the addresses are shown on sheet 5. That's where I got the addresses. And then the plan and profiles are on sheet 7 and sheet 8.
Okay, I got it. Thanks.
And I don't know if you guys want a little background on what we're doing on the overall project or...
Yes, please.
Okay. So in September, the town contracted us to do the engineering design for Appaloosa Lane. So we're paving, to pave and do drainage improvements from Steeplechase to Edgewood 7. Approximately 2,400 linear feet of roadway. We are currently about 70% complete with the design. Once this variance if it's approved, disapproved, we'll go to the final design of the project, and it would be ready to bid here within a month or so. It consists of paving the road to a 24-foot width, striping, and subgrade and base course improvements and grade improvements. Bar ditch construction on the sides, roadway culverts, and paved outlets to drives, similar to the other roads that have been constructed in the town.
Okay. Any questions? Other questions from the commissioners?
I have one.
Commissioner Powers.
So, Mr. Sykes, I'm looking at the plan and profile that you mentioned, and it looks to me that the real impact, you're somewhere between the existing grade, which is a lot steeper, and the proposed 3% for 100 feet. So the real change will be that it won't be as steep as it is now, but it will not be the 3%. It'll level off to 2% at the stop sign.
Yes, for the first 20 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's minimizing the impacts to requirements for citizens to have to cut or fill their driveways at that location.
It's minimizing the impact. There still will be a little impact, but it's minimizing.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant?
No.
No. Commissioner Anaya?
No, he hit it right on the nail.
All right. Okay, so at this point, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. We have already sworn in anyone who intends to give public testimony on this item. And, but at this point, anyone who wishes to speak here in the commission chambers should come forward. And then please state again your name and address for the record. After we complete with the members of the public here, then we'll go online.
Hi, my name is Angela Wright. I live at 83 Steeplechase Road. So basically, I'll give you the rundown. I have more questions and concerns than anything else. So our property is right on the corner of Appaloosa and Steeplechase. Our property has the mailboxes right there next to it as well. So we have a few things going on at our property and a few questions like, how is the treatment of the mailbox area going to be handled? We also, across from the driveway that you were speaking of by the stop sign there at Appaloosa and Steeplechase, we also have a gated area and a drive that goes onto our property. So we're hoping that that's going to also be treated as such because we use that quite often. It's pretty important to our property. There's also a walking gate. I don't know if that's, going to be accommodated for or not. Then another question is, what are the ditches going to actually look like? Because I know that the city of Edgewood is supposed to be actually maintaining those ditches, but that doesn't really happen very often. So we end up mowing that whole area and taking care of it because we like to maintain our property. So I'm also kind of curious how that's going to change. And then really, I think one of the main concerns we have, because we had heard that the pavement is going to go up from Appaloosa onto Steeplechase kind of in a T. So being where we're at the bottom of the hill, and not that we're special snowflakes on that road or anything, but I think that we have a little more concern than probably a lot of the other people that are just kind of more on a flat area, if that makes sense. So we have water that comes down whenever monsoon season hits, and the water will come down from that ridge line there. And so big concern with that and the water running out. And I also heard that Appaloosa Steeplechase at some point is, possibly going to get paved, but the money's not appropriated yet. So who knows when that's going to happen. So I'm being a realist with how that water is going to drain down along there and currently, and how it's going to all piece together in the future. That makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah.
anyone else here in the commission chambers? Yes, sir, you can come up.
I haven't sworn in.
Okay, go ahead and come up and we'll take care of the swearing in as well. Can you state your name and address?
Cy Stanton, 1 Appaloosa.
Okay. Go ahead and raise your right hand. And do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give at this hearing shall be the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
So I really just have a question. I'm at the end where they mentioned that if they did the 3% grade, if the variance isn't approved, that's going to be a much steeper angle. Our driveway at number 1, correct me if I'm wrong, if I understand this correctly, if the variance was not approved, we would have to have a much steeper entrance onto the street, correct?
Yeah, it would lower the road approximately
18 inches. And then but with the variance, there's still going to be some lowering up from what it is now, but it's not going to be as dramatic. Okay, and then just to clarify one thing, because I'm just curious, are the residents who are affected, whose driveways are affected, are we going to be responsible for doing any filling or, or is that going to be taken care of as part of the project? For that last little piece of driveway, we have a concrete driveway, and except for like the last, I don't know, maybe 4 feet goes onto the street. Is that going to be my responsibility to fix that, or is it going to be part of the project?
Driveway improvements go to the right-of-way line, so we'll match grade at the right-of-way line. So what you would probably see is a change in grade, at that point. And the right-of-way line is
Okay, so that's what you guys figure.
Mr. Snipes, I wanted to have you, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to repeat that, and then as we go through the public comments, I think I'll just have you hold your answers until we get to the next section, but go ahead and address this one.
Okay, so we're gonna be paving to the right-of-way line, which is approximately 10 to 12 feet off the edge of pavement. So we will, at that point, we would match existing grade at the right-of-way line, so you would have a change in grade going to your existing driveway. Okay. At that point.
Thank you, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, anyone else here on site? Okay, we're gonna go online then. Jesus, you can go ahead and unmute all. And anyone who would like to speak to this matter, give public testimony on this, please state your name and address again and go ahead with your comment.
Yes, my name is Clarence Sanchez,
Yes, sir.
and I'd like to make some comments. Back in 2018, there was a petition that was filed to the previous town council when Chuck Ring was on the council, and then again to the new incoming council. So that petition was filed and presented to those particular councils. Everyone on Appaloosa Lane signed, every resident on Appaloosa Lane signed the petition, as well as about 120 other people that use Appaloosa from the surrounding area, Steeplechase and above. Everyone that uses Appaloosa has to travel in that direction. One of the reasons that it's needed paving is because of all the mud, the washborne effect on the road, the heavily traveled buses that go through there, and as well as UPS and FedEx and other vehicles. But everyone signed that petition, and everyone that I'm aware of is in favor of paving Appaloosa. Thank you.
Thank you.
In favor.
All right, we have a question from the Commissioner Anaya, if you are in favor of this.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? We have unmuted the callers, so anyone who wishes to address this matter on Appaloosa may speak now. And anyone who joined the GoToMeeting, you'll have to unmute yourself if you'd like to speak. Okay, I don't see or hear anyone else for the public part of this. At this point in time, the applicant has the right of cross-examination, so do you have any questions of the public? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And at this point, the commission can now discuss the case, ask any questions of the staff or the applicant. And I guess I would start off first by asking Mr. Snipes to answer the questions that have been asked to the extent you can. Thank you.
Okay, so I hope I got all the questions written down. For Ms. Wright, at 83 Steeplechase, what we're going to try to, so the mailboxes, we've got to coordinate with the post office still. But we're planning on, since the grade will change in there, that we may have to raise those up. We were looking at doing a paved turnout. You can see that in the drawings. For that location, her gate won't be impacted. And in that particular location where they're at, we will not be putting a bar ditch between the roadway and their property line because we are filling in that location. We'll be filling directly to the right-of-way line. And so the road's approximately a foot higher than the right-of-way, a foot to 18 inches. In that case, it's a mild grade, especially for a foot to the mailboxes. So that should be a non-issue there.
Madam Chair, can I ask one question?
Yes.
Commissioner Anaya?
Cody, what size of culvert are you placing in there?
On the driveways? For the driveways, we are planning a 15-inch culvert on most of them.
Thank you.
Okay. And then it's approximately station 2200, 2250 is where we begin to start a bar ditch on the south side, I believe. But we are looking at that grading and drainage and what's required currently. And I will confirm that we looked at that other driveway entrance at that location. We've been placing driveways at all the existing entrances. And then as far as the drainage, coming off the ridge across Steeplechase, we are planning on where the portion that we are doing the T, that's paving it, that we would be cutting a bar ditch on the west side of there and improving the culverts to try to encourage drainage back to the north and back to the south, because Edward 7 hits it at the top of the hill at Steeplechase. So in that particular location, we'll try to catch any drainage so it does not cross the road from west to east. And they should not see, currently, they are probably seeing some impacts from drainage coming across Steeplechase from the west to the east, and we're going to try to mitigate that.
So the actual flow is going to go on the south or headed south on the west side of the Edgewood 7, correct?
Yes, on the west side of Edgewood, on Steeplechase, rather?
No, not Steeplechase, on
on Edgewood 7.
Appaloosa and Edgewood 7.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yes, so again, on Appaloosa hits Edgewood 7 almost at the top of a hill. We can turn it all to the south, or we can turn what's on the south side of the road to the south and what's on the north side to the north.
Okay. So then,
I'm sorry, most of it's going to go to the north is what our plan is, just because going to the south, there's a steep hill that's higher and it would be a lot more cut, and there's an existing water utility there.
so if you go north, how are you going to get rid of the water?
It goes down to a draw.
Does it?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
it's pretty steep through.
And then when you go over to, Steeplechase, then it goes south and east of Steeplechase. It's gonna go, from the property line of, 83. I believe that was her address.
Yeah.
Okay, so it goes from 80, right down that corner of 83, it's going to flow, south naturally.
It flows south naturally, yes.
And then, so it's not gonna cross the road either, and it's not gonna come into their property.
Water from the west side of Steeplechase to the east, yes, we're trying to mitigate that right now.
Thank you.
Okay, and then Mr. Stanton's question at 1 Appaloosa, we did talk about, we are paving the driveways to the right of way, and we'll match existing grade at that location. And then I believe Mr. Sanchez didn't really have a question, more of a statement.
Comment, okay. So, Commissioners, this is our opportunity to discuss the case and ask questions of staff or the applicant. So if you have anything for Tim or Mr. Sykes.
Does this also include, grooming out the,
Can you go closer to
this is gonna include, working?
I don't think it is, actually.
Doesn't sound like it.
Here, you can use mine.
Alright. Is this gonna also include grooming of the drainage on both sides of the road going down?
Yes, sir.
Alright, clearing out the old, any of the old vegetation, cleaning it up for, and are we gonna be installing any type of, debris catches? Like, I know sometimes they use hay bales and like that, and we're just, netting to catch things instead of it, so it doesn't clog up the, culverts.
So we will be required during construction that they do temporary stormwater prevention measures, which include, often includes wattles or straw bales or something during construction. That's the contractor's responsibility. What we are looking at in steep locations is that we may put in some rock checks or something of that nature to prevent erosion on down. One thing that we see on Appaloosa is that we have culverts very frequently, so that does mitigate the potential for just creating runoff and erosion in that sense.
Thanks.
Anything else? Commissioner Knight?
Nope.
Okay. If there's nothing else, then, I guess we just need a motion. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Anaya?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve, the request for, did you close?
The public hearing portion of this is closed.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. So can I get a hold of him later though and still voice my concerns or?
Absolutely.
Cause, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Commissioner Anaya?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve, application from Smith Engineering for the grading and drainage variance for the town of Edgewood of Appaloosa Lane paving project NMPM, town of Edgewood, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Edgewood, Santa Fe County, New Mexico.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and so we'll do this on a roll call vote. Commissioner Brennan?
Aye.
Commissioner Powers?
Aye.
Commissioner Anaya?
Aye.
Commissioner Donner?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Thank you, commissioners. Have a good evening.
Go to work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go to work, Cody.
Thank you, Cody.
It's great to see this moving forward. All right, the next item On the agenda is a public hearing for the request for lot line adjustment. And so we'll go ahead and call this case. And ask from staff, the certification of public notice this hearing has been posted as required.
Yes, it has.
Thank you. This case is being heard under provisions required by the New Mexico Court of Appeals intended to protect the rights of all parties and their witnesses and the swearing in of all parties giving testimony. The affected parties will have the right to cross-examine persons giving testimony. Confirmation of no conflict of interest or ex parte communication is what we will do now. And so let me think here. I guess we'll just do this on roll call as well. So I'll go ahead and start, and I confirm that I have no conflict of interest or ex parte communication in this matter. Commissioner Powers?
I so affirm.
Commissioner Anaya?
I so affirm.
And Commissioner Brennan?
I so affirm, but I do want to say that I did have conversations about this before I was elected and put into office. Just want to make that publicly known.
You need to here, actually. Oh, is it working now?
Yeah, can you hear that?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I just want to make it noticed that before I was elected, that I did have some conversations about this and encouraging the applicant to move forward with the application.
Okay, so let's check with Mr. Najjar and see if that is considered a ex parte communication before Commissioner Brennan was in office. He did have some communication.
No, that wouldn't be considered an ex parte communication.
Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Donner?
I so affirm.
Okay. At this point, I think we can go ahead and ask staff to, well, we can do the group swearing in, right, at this time? Yeah. Anyone who wishes to speak to item number 4 on the agenda for lot line adjustment, please come forward. And those of you online who would like to speak to item number 4, we will hear from you in a moment. Any others here? Okay, thank you. So raise your right hand, and do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay, thank you, Michael. And your name?
I'm Gary Gritzko, officer ring 1436, 32nd Circle, Rio Rancho, 87124.
Okay, now I'm going to have you hold that thought, because we have to get through a couple of processes first with the staff before you testify, okay? So you can have a seat if you would like. And then online, Jesus, can you unmute? If there's anyone else that would like to speak to this matter, confirm that you took the oath. Anyone else regarding the lot line adjustment online? Some of you may have to unmute yourselves if you need to speak. Okay, I'm not hearing anyone online, and the callers have been unmuted, so we'll go ahead. At this point, I will ask the staff to present the case.
Thank you. So this is the application of Michael T. Flattery for a lot line adjustment at Tract 3A, Township 11, Range 7 East, Section 21, aka 50 Estrella Vista Drive of 52.7 acres, NMPM, Town of Edgewood, Santa Fe County, New Mexico. So the attachments that we have here in the packet are the application for the lot line adjustment, the warranty deed for 50 Estrella Vista Drive, and also the warranty deed for 245 Entrenosa Road, which is the adjoining property, which is going to be part of the proposed lot line adjustment. The proposed plat for the lot line adjustment, the NFHL data sheet, the Santa Fe County Assessor's information sheets, both for 50 Estrella Vista and 245 in Trenosa. We have the aerial views of the abutting property owners within 500 feet, the letter that went out to the abutting property owners, and the proof of public notice. So the current gross acreage of 50 Estrella Vista is 52.7 acres, and the current gross acreage of the adjacent property, 245 in Trenosa Road, is 10.097 acres. This proposal will reconfigure the acreages of both properties. So both properties are zoned R1 residential 1 acre, so this reconfiguration is compatible. This lot line adjustment will move the southerly shared horizontal property line with 245 Trenosa Road 90 degrees to the west to create a contiguously shared westerly property line to attribute acreage from 50 Estrella Vista to 245 Trenosa Road. If approved, this lot line adjustment will change the gross acreage of 50 Estrella Vista Drive to 29.7498 acres, and the gross acreage of 245 Trenosa Road to 33.0050. This proposed plat grants a 30-foot private access easement to 50 Estrella Vista Drive to maintain access to the property, and this proposed plat will not alter utility access or usage to either property. This proposal is eligible for an expedited preliminary final plat process as no infrastructure needs to be constructed or altered. The Technical Advisory Committee met on October 6th, 2021 at 10:30 a.m. In attendance were myself, Chuck Williams, our Road Department Supervisor, Wally Starks from Santa Fe County Fire Prevention, Gary Gritzko from Alpha Pro Surveying, Mr. Michael Flattery, the applicant, and Mr. John Finizzi, owner of 245 Trenosa Road. He was in attendance telephonically. The committee found no issues with the request for lot line adjustment. And staff did receive multiple inquiries of concern on this proposal. However, upon explanation of the lot line adjustment, these concerns were mostly addressed. One abutting property owner did have concerns over the impact of potential usage if this proposal were to go through, but that was the only slight concern. And then we just have the R1 zone for reference under that.
Okay.
And that is everything.
Staff's recommendation?
Yes, so this lot line adjustment proposal meets all requirements for preliminary and final plat as outlined in the Town of Edgewood Subdivision Ordinance 29-04. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for staff?
Kim.
Commissioner Anaya?
Madam Chair, Kim, the drawings that you have on, the page is not marked, but it's in color, and then the blue lines are what the applicant is trying to do is just clean it up.
It's a little bit hard to see on the proposed plat here. I'll let Mr. Gritzko explain that, just because it is black and white. Because of that easement on there, it kind of looks like things are different, but basically it's cutting off a portion of Estrella Vista Drive, so it's going to be attributing that northerly, well, rather northeastern side of the property to 245 Trenosa.
Okay, so the road then is going to be moved also?
No, the road is staying exactly where it is, and it's the plat is accounting for the private access easement.
Which are the dotted lines that you show on the plot?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, then we'll go ahead and move to the next portion and ask the applicant to present argument.
Okay, good evening, Commissioners and Madam Chairman. Just to reiterate what the staff said, that we are, when the two neighbors live adjacent to each other, and Mike Flattery is going to sell approximately 23 acres of his lot, of the 53 acres approximately that he owns, to the neighbor, Mr. Finizzi, who will end up having, after he purchases this, would be 33 acres, and Mr. Flattery will end up with 30 acres. So, and your question about the road easement for Australia Vista Road, that road will continue to be where it is, and it'll cross part of the land that he's selling to the neighbor. So that situation won't change. He'll still have access from Australia Vista.
So we're crossing two properties, two
It's
different owners.
it's only crossing one owner right now, and then he's selling that portion to the neighbor, so it'll cross just one owner again, so.
Okay, so do we have a power agreement between the two in the covenant?
Well, there's an existing road easement from the previous plat that was filed a few years back. So that easement's not changing, it's still a private
Okay, so you
access.
do have it then?
Yes, they have access.
Thank you.
He's not cutting himself off from
Thanks.
access.
We just want to make sure he's not blocked off.
Yes. And that's basically it. He's selling part of his land to the neighbor, and then the neighbor's combining that portion with his existing lot, so there won't be any new lots or separate lots. It's still gonna be two lots existing and two lots proposed. So, I guess that's about it, for my presentation. Do you have any questions for me?
Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? No. Okay. And so at this point, thank you, sir. We will open for the public hearing portion of this. Everyone's been sworn in already. Members of the public who would wish to speak should state their name and residence for the record. So we'll start here in Commission Chambers. Anyone wish to address this matter? Okay, let's go online. Jesus, if you could unmute the callers. And callers, if you could just state your name and residence, and if you would like to address this request for lot line adjustment. Any callers wish to speak? And then Jesus, if you could scroll down and let's just take a look at who is on the GoToMeeting. Anyone on GoToMeeting, you'll have to unmute yourself in order to speak. I'll give you just a moment to do that if you'd like to address this matter. Okay, I don't hear anything, so I think we can proceed. As far as for the applicant, do you have any questions under your right of cross-examination?
Well, I guess just one question, since I'm sort of new to your process, or maybe this is a new process for you too, I'm not sure. This is the Planning and Zoning Commission or the City Commission?
This is the commission, the city commission.
The city,
yes.
or council or commission? Okay, I wasn't sure if you were the P and Z, or you had a separate P and Z. You probably don't have one yet, right?
We have some appointees already in place.
Oh.
But they have yet to meet, and I assume there'll probably be a couple of more people appointed.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
yeah.
I just want to know what the protocol is here.
Sure.
Then to get the plat signed, is that going to be done by Tim, or he brings it to you, or how does that work?
Tim, you could address that for us.
Sure. So the way that this will work is we will have to wait until the next meeting to approve the meeting minutes and findings of fact from the commission's decision. And once those two items are approved, then the appeal window of 15 days will start. After those 15 days are concluded, then you can bring in your Mylar, which can be signed by the appropriate officials here. And once that's done, then you can get all the rest of your signatures and file that with the county.
Okay, great. Thanks for your answer, Tim.
Sure thing.
Okay. That's all I
Okay, at this point, we're going to close the public hearing. And now the commission has time to discuss the case and ask any questions of staff or the applicant.
I have none.
No questions.
Okay, so what is the pleasure of the commission? We need a motion, and if you make the motion, please read the entire property.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Anaya.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion for approval of item number 4, application for Michael T. Flattery for a lot line adjustment on track 3A, Township 11 North, Range 7 East, Section 21, aka 50 Estrella Vista Drive.
Estrella.
50 Estrella Vista Drive, 52.7 acres, NMPI town of Edgewood, Santa Fe County, New Mexico.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and we'll take this on a roll call vote. Commissioner Powers?
Aye.
Commissioner Donner?
Aye.
Commissioner Brennan?
Aye.
Commissioner Anaya?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you. Okay, at this point, you guys ready to continue on? Or do you need a break?
I'm good.
Everyone's good? Okay. We'll move to item 5, the request for subdivision. This is a quasi-judicial procedure. We need to certify that the public notice of this meeting has been posted as required. And I guess at this point, Tim, if you can just reaffirm that for us. I know we discussed earlier.
Yes, it has.
Thank you. This case is being heard under provisions required by the New Mexico Court of Appeals intended to protect the rights of all parties and their witnesses in the swearing in of all parties giving testimony. The affected parties will have the right to cross-examine persons giving testimony. Confirmation of no conflict of interest or ex parte communication is what we will do at this point. And so I confirm that I have no conflict of interest or ex parte communication in this matter. Go ahead.
I so affirm.
Commissioner Anaya?
No ex parte communications, and I have no conflict of interest related to this matter that we're going ahead of us tonight.
Okay, Commissioner Brennan?
I so affirm.
Commissioner Donner?
I so affirm.
Okay. All right, thank you. So let's go ahead and swear everyone in that would like to give testimony this evening. And we'll start again here in the room in the commission chambers. So go ahead and come on up. Any members of the public that would like to speak? And raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give at this hearing shall be the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, let's go online and do the same. I know for sure we have former Mayor Pro Tem Abrams. And did you?
I would like to speak.
Meredith Conant.
Rita Loy Simmons.
Linda Burke.
John Abrams.
Okay, thank you all. And do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give at this hearing shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
I do.
I do.
All right, thank you. We'll ask, we're calling staff to present the case.
Certainly. Before I do, I just wanted to address that discrepancy there. I do apologize for that. This was the reflected legal description, which was for 251 Horton Road. It apparently includes section 5 in there as well, so it seems a little odd, but both are noticed on there. I should have just separated those out though, so I do apologize for that. Otherwise,
can you go ahead and read the lines there of the application, just for the record?
yes, that's what I was about to do. So we have the application of Tammy Lucadamo for a preliminary plat subdivision of 2 lots into 8 at tracts 4 and 5. Well, rather, tract 4 is, give me 1 second, please. Section 5, Township 10 North, Range 7 East, and then just tab back up here, and Section 4, Township 10 North, Range 7 East is going to be the other. So I apologize for that. NMPM, Town of Edgewood, Santa Fe County, New Mexico.
Okay. Tim, I am so sorry, but we are having technical difficulties and need to take a short recess for Jesus to fix the live stream. And
okay.
So if commission is all okay with that, all right, let's take a 5 to 10 minute recess. My best friend and her husband are back together. No, just a day older than a day less. You never count ahead. we're ready to get started again.
I hate it.
Commissioner Naya, come back. All right, thank you. We got our technical difficulties corrected. Thank you, Jesus. And we are going to proceed with this public hearing item on the agenda, number 5, request for subdivision. Tim, I apologize, we had to interrupt you, but go ahead and repeat the last section of what you were saying. I think you're on mute.
Certainly. Do you want me to start over on that portion?
Yes, please, because I think it was frozen when you were doing that.
Okay, not to worry. I will read it as it's presented on the report, and if you need me to to separate that out, I can do that too. Here we have the application of Tammy Lucadamo for a preliminary plat subdivision of 2 lots into 8 at tracts 4 and 5, north half, south half, section 4, township 10 north, range 7 east, and northeast 1/4, southeast 1/4, section 5, township 10 north, range 7 east of 19.9 acres each, aka 251 Horton Road and 267 Horton Road. The section 4 denotation refers to 267 Horton Road, and the section 5 and section 4 are listed both on the county assessors for 251, so there looks to be a discrepancy there. Anyway, NMPM, Town of Edgewood, Santa Fe County, New Mexico. So we have the application for preliminary subdivision, the authorization for Odin and Associates, the quitclaim deed for 251 and 267 Horton Road, the Entrenosa Water Will Serve letter, the proposed preliminary plat survey, the NFHL data sheet, Santa Fe County Assessor's information sheets ×2 for both of those properties, the aerial views of abutting property owners within 500 feet, and the letter which went out to those abutting property owners, as well as the proof of public notice. So this proposal is for a preliminary plat. It seeks to subdivide 2 lots, 251 Horton Road and 267 Horton Road, into 8 lots, aka the Hillside Estates subdivision. So for 251 Horton Road, it's zoned RE residential estate. The applicant's residence is located on this parcel. This proposal subdivides 251 Horton into 2 lots, 1 lot of 12.08 acres and 1 lot of 5.76 acres. 267 Horton Road is zoned R1 residential 1 acre. This lot is currently vacant. This proposal subdivides 267 Horton into 6 lots, 1 lot of 5 acres, 1 lot of 4.23 acres, and 4 lots of 2.5 acres each. A utility easement for a water pipeline runs through the upper portion of 267 Horton Road. Access for all proposed lots would be from Horton Road. The utilities are all nearby and easily accessible. And the Technical Advisory Committee met on October 18th, 2021 at 10 a.m. In attendance were myself, Chuck Williams, our Road Department Supervisor, Wally Starks from Santa Fe County Fire Prevention, and Tim Odin, the agent for the applicants. The committee found no issues with the request for preliminary plats. And staff received multiple inquiries on this proposal. 2 inquiries were of concern over access, but upon staff explanation and review of the proposal, these concerns were addressed. Additionally, there were concerns whether these new resulting lots would have covenants and if manufactured housing could potentially come into the area. And then for reference, I have the 2 denoted zones. And would you like my recommendation now, or would you like that later?
Now would be fine.
Okay. So this subdivision proposal meets all requirements for preliminary plat as outlined in the Town of Edgewood Subdivision Ordinance 2019-04. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you.
And that is everything I have.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any questions for staff?
Not at this time.
No. No, Madam Chair.
Okay, at this time, we'll call the applicant to present argument.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission and staff. My name is Tim Oden. I'm with Oden and Associates, and we are agents for the applicant, Tammy Gadamo, in this application for a preliminary plat tonight. I believe Mr. Dvorak has explained in depth pretty much anything that I could add. I just wanted to maybe let staff have a chance to reiterate the process of making an application for a preliminary plat, what happens after that, how we get to final plat, how the subdivision gets built, and so forth. There's probably a lot of questions in the audience's eyes, and maybe some of the people that have called in that they're curious about how that works. Other than that, Madam Chair, I will stand for questions if you have anything specific.
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Oden?
No, Madam Chair. Not at this time.
Okay. Commissioner Meyer?
Yeah, I do. Mr. Oden, Tim, do you know, because I noticed on one of the concerns that they had was about mobile homes. Do you know if the covenants state that they are approvable, they're approved, or they're not approved in the covenants for the area? Or are the covenants even drawn up yet?
The covenants haven't been drawn up yet, Mr. Commissioner. There will be covenants on the property. Obviously, the applicant has a healthy investment in the property and the way it looks, and they want to do a good job of it, but I certainly wouldn't preclude or even guess as to what they would or would not allow at this point. Mobile homes, to me, means one thing. Manufactured houses means something else to me. I believe manufactured houses are allowed under R1, whereas I don't think probably a quote-unquote mobile home would be allowed in R1 district. But certainly, the applicants intend to do whatever is allowed by RE on the south half of the property and by the R1 zoning on the north half of the property.
That is correct, Mr. Oden. The double wide manufactured housings are considered under HAG. Single wides, my understanding, are considered a mobile home. I guess really the only concern I have is, again, simply because of the complaint. One of the complaints, I guess, or questions was whether or not that they could put a mobile home on there. I understand the double wide, considering that they could be prefabs, and they fall under an entire different CID requirements. So I don't think that an area like this, of course, you're right, the owner of the property can make that determination on their own by putting it in the covenant. But in your conversations with them, could you kind of just remind them that whenever they're writing the covenants, that was one of the requests from their neighbors?
Certainly. I have one question, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Powers.
Mr. Roden, I'm looking at your plat, and I see that the lots all have access, with the possible exception of Lot 5, and I'm wondering if that's access on a Hawkeye private road or whatever that is on the north side.
Commissioner Powers, Lot 5 is accessed through Neighborly Way. What may be confusing you there is you're seeing a 38-foot wide utility easement that has an Internosa water line in it, going east and west all the way across the center of that piece of property. And so that's not a division line, it's a utility easement for Internosa water line that's been there forever.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We do have a hand raised back there. Would you like to speak on behalf of the applicant?
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
My name is Brad Hill. I do have a residual interest in the property, a financial interest. I just want to address for the record the question regarding the difference between a mobile home and a manufactured home. Under state law, a mobile home is defined as a park trailer. So mobile homes would not be allowed to be put on this type of property. Manufactured homes, if they're built under a DAPIA standard, which is a Design Approval Primary Inspection Agency, then they can be restricted. Off-site homes that are built under the IBC, the International Building Code, under state law cannot be restricted, but they can be restricted by covenant to say that everything has to be site-built. It is the intention of the applicant to restrict all development to site-built development.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Or other questions? Okay. At this point, we'll open the public hearing. And members of the public who wish to speak should come forward here in the chambers. State your name and residence for the record. Doesn't look like we have anyone here. Oh, yes, we do. Come on up.
Oh, we had a bunch of us up here. I was the only one up here. I have a couple questions, mainly. My name is Peter Newstead. I live at 20B at Gavilan. Okay. My question for the owner, has the soil been analyzed for water consumption? And where I'm going with that is, how many leach fields are we going to put real close together? And what happens in the caliche clay that my house is built on, which is scratching thanks to a wet winter?
You can go ahead and proceed with your questions, and then just to let you know,
Okay.
we'll answer them at another point.
What size will each lot end up being? You guys had a plot plan. I didn't have access to it unless it was online and I didn't know it.
Sure, yeah.
Would you like to see it, sir?
Yeah, that was just one of my questions. Somebody could answer that for me and it'll shut me up.
I don't know if I should answer now or.
I guess we should probably answer all questions in the next section.
Okay.
And has anybody surveyed the area? Are there any local wells near there that we should concern ourselves with? I used to be a well owner and I know what happens when you have a whole bunch of condensed leach fields and there goes your water table. And what is the water table again? the city taking all that into consideration. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Yes, please come forward.
So the town of Edgewood has always taken the position, and it is appropriate that those questions be addressed to the state, because those are, septic tanks are permitted by the state, they're not permitted by the town. And so I will assure you that we will comply with all of the state requirements for septic tank installation. And so that is traditionally what we have always done in the town. The minimum lot size for a septic tank in the state of New Mexico is 3/4 of an acre. These lots are all greater than 2.5 acres or 5 acres. So the answer is your question, that all septic tanks will comply with state code requirements.
Thank you. Anyone else here who would like to speak to address this matter? Okay, we'll go online. And Jesus, did you want to just unmute all the callers, please? And if you would like to address this matter on request for subdivision, please just state your name and residence and go ahead with your public testimony.
This is Meredith Conant. I live at 3 Corte Martas here in Edgewood. And here are my concerns with regard to the subdivision on Horton Road. I've lived in Edgewood now for about 30 years. I used to live over on Villa Gavilan. I am concerned primarily of the wear and tear on Horton Road with additional residents moving in. I realize that the town comes out on a regular basis and scrapes it, fixes it as best as possible. However, 2 days later, the road continues to be washboard. So by adding another half a dozen residents, and I'm assuming probably 2 to 3 cars per residence, we are substantially increasing the road traffic on a road that is out of shape. My second concern is one of mail and mail delivery. At present, the mailboxes that service this particular area are on a private road, which is Calle Viernes. We have residents throughout the area that come through, pick up their mail, do donuts in the middle of Calle Viernes with little or no regard to the damage they are causing. I've had conversations with Anthony Baca, who is the postmaster, regarding moving the mailboxes that do not belong to the residents of this land division. So once again, those are my major concerns. I would also be strongly opposed to any type of manufactured or mobile housing being brought into the area. The land division where I live now has covenants that state no mobile homes or manufactured housing. I would encourage the Hills or Lucadamos, whatever name is being used at this point, to consider the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I know we have Ms. Linda Burke.
And read the laws, Caroline.
Did you want me to go next? This is Linda Burke.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I had contacted Mr. Dvorak back in November by email, and we did speak by phone as well regarding a number of questions that I had at the time. And I'll try and reiterate some of those because many of them remain. And I guess my largest concern is, as you can see when you look at the map, the proposed properties, the lots rather, you can see at the northern about upper third that utility easement that goes from Horton Road across to Villa Gavilan. And that utility easement, it was my understanding at one point, was intended to connect Villa Gavilan to Horton so that it comes out at Rory Road on the east side of Horton. That may or may not have been correct, but it certainly is a utility easement. And it is also the only real way to get utilities and high-speed internet into the homes that are to the west of this proposed development. My concern is that if you look at the topographical, not the topographical, but the aerial map rather, you can see that there's a scar on the land basically where the easement has been used before as they brought in natural gas and other utilities to the area, water, etc. That would be the most likely and the most cost-efficient way to get high-speed internet from Plateau, from Horton Road back to the 19 homes that are just to the west of the proposed development. However, once there are homes put in those locations, there may be fences that go up. People, right or wrong, sometimes put up sheds and things where they're not supposed to. I'm just concerned about maintaining access to that easement so that we can get internet back to our area. As we all know, we're only needing more and more of that high-speed internet in the Edgewood area, especially with all the work and school from home that's become much more common the last couple of years and will continue to grow. So I do have that large concern. I also have a concern that all of the neighborhood that's to the west, or directly to the west, I should say, we currently only have ingress and egress from Moonlight Meadow, which comes in off Hill Ranch Road. And for emergency purposes, it seems like it would make sense to have a backup or alternate egress, especially as we've all seen in Colorado last week, that wildfires can move quickly, especially across the grassy areas and with wind conditions that we typically also see here in Edgewood. So I was hoping that when that property was developed, that there would be at least an emergency gate at the end of Via Gavilon that would allow for that egress back out and across what is now at the very least an utility easement. Because otherwise, if we have no access out on Moonlight Meadow, our 19 homes and all of the horses that live back there, and there are many, could potentially be trapped with no other way out. So that is another one of my large concerns. And the configuration of the roads as proposed in this development don't lend themselves well to that kind of a concept, even on an emergency basis, because we'd have to be crossing private property that could potentially be fenced at that point. Let me see. And the other avenue, you may question my concern about access for easements for utilities and high-speed internet. The only other way into our area is Moonlight Meadow to the west, and that is an extremely rocky road. There is no way someone's digging any kind of trenches through that to get any kind of underground utilities back to the area, which is fiber optic, typically is underground, as we've seen them laying it in our area on Hill Ranch Road and Horton Road. So it's very close by, and heading north on Horton is the next logical step towards the more developed areas. I also have a concern regarding the covenants, and I appreciate that Mr. Hill had mentioned that the intent is to have covenants that require stick-built homes. I would strongly urge the commission, if possible, to make that a condition of any approval that might be obtained for this project. All of the surrounding homes in the area are stick-built homes. They are typically larger homes in the Edgewood area. And in keeping with the complexion of the current residences surrounding this, I'm sure that the Hills and Lucademos would like to have it conform or fit into what's surrounding it. So I'm really hoping that those covenants will include such a stipulation and on the process. Let me look at my notes and see if there's anything else. I think those are my largest concerns and things that were not necessarily addressed previously, the fire access, the egress is a concern because we are in an area where all of the roads dead end. So even having an emergency gate to give us a way out would be helpful if the roads could be adjusted in such a way that it would allow for that. And the division of lots as they appear on the proposed subdivision, I just have questions regarding the availability of actual useful building envelope. There are a lot of arroyos that run through that property. There's a lot, and they run right across the road from my house as well. So I know that they're pretty wide and they can run pretty strong at when we have rains. So I'm just a little concerned as to where the homes would actually be sited on these lots, and would that in any way impinge on egress or access through utilities? So thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Ms. Burke. And just for the record, can you please give your address?
Absolutely. Linda Burke, 18 Moondust Lane, Edgewood, New Mexico.
Thank you. Okay. Who's next? Anyone else would like to speak to this item number 5, request for subdivision?
Commissioner, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
This is Rita Loy Simmons, and I would like to speak to this issue.
Can you state your residence, please?
I have moved to Albuquerque for health reasons. However, I own land of Bradbury, lot A4A, which is 21 Moondust Lane, and I also own lot D4B, I think, in Lands of Thomas, which is just adjacent to one of the gentlemen that spoke. So I'm within the 500 feet of this. And I would like to give you a history lesson if you will indulge me. At one point in time, Mr. Mark Jensen requested service from the Entrenosa water system to serve lands further west. The Hill family owns land from the county line all the way out to Highway 344. That's 3 miles. And Mr. Jensen wanted to build closer to the county line and requested service. And the Entrenosa board at that time did not see any rationale for it. They turned him down. Now, he went to talk to my father, Mr. Horton, who had started the Entrenosa system to begin with. And Mr. Horton recognized that this would isolate the Hill family properties from the development that could occur if they had a good source of water. And at that time, he also felt threatened because his brother owned large tract of land in that region. So the Mrs. Nancy Hill, Tom Horton, and a gentleman representing the Moomy properties got together and formed another committee and decided to form another water system. And they named it El Monte Sol. And there were people in the region of Villa Gavilan at the west of that who had drilled a well, and it was, I don't know how many hundred feet, 300 or 400 or 500 feet, but he did not get water, and he appealed to Mr. Horton also to bring water to that point. So Mr. Hill and Mr. Horton got together and they laid out a water line, and roughly it starts at Cleveland Road, which is on the east side of 344. It runs across the lands of Hill, which is 80 acres in section 4, extends on to Pueblo Artesano subdivision, and the extension goes right along Rory Road. And then it was anticipated that as it crossed Horton Road, it would serve potentially 8 lots, or however it could be done. And then I purchased 40 acres from Mr. and Mrs. Hill, and it was my understanding from both Mr. and Mrs. Hill and Mr. Horton that that was intended as a road and utility easement. Now, the fact that it's 38 feet wide, and I think Rory Road may only be 38 feet wide, I'm not sure. Lands of Hill appear to be 38 feet wide, but I would have to consult Mr. Roden on those distances. My choice was to put in 50-foot easements, and so I developed along Via Gavilan, and I anticipated always that Via Gavilan would then, upon development of Tract 4, lands of Hill, and that's important, lands of who is lands of Hill, that would continue and give double entrance to the people up in those trees. And I'm very disappointed that the drawing that I'm looking at doesn't follow that configuration. It would be so simple if they could eliminate the neighborly drive, create the road along the 50-foot, or make that 38 feet, 50 feet wide, and then create a cul-de-sac down that might come into their lot 7. I understand they need access there, but it seems to me that they tried to pick as high a ground as they could. You can't avoid all of the hills and valleys because that's what makes the countryside appealing. The fact that they have 2 5-acre lots crossways of that easement, and that being the main reason any of these things were developed to begin with, seems odd to me, where they could have had one on the north and one on the south, and they could have run a cul-de-sac down to their lot 7 by using this existing 38-foot easement instead of adding another 50-foot easement further south. Now, that's my simplistic point of view, and based on the history that I cannot prove. I can only state, having been a party to some of those conversations. So my appeal to Mr. Hill is to reconsider the configuration. The water company would have to always have access to that roadway, and there should be in no case a dead end to that situation. So for health, safety, and welfare, Mr. Hill, I plead that you reconsider the configuration of your lots. Thank you so much, and I'm pleased to hear the voices of Mr. Oden, Mr. Gritzko, and I'm impressed with how well Tim is managing his job with the quick study he's had to be. Thank you so much for your listening.
Thank you so much. At one point in time, we had former Mayor Pro Tem John Abrams on.
I am here.
Okay, you moved. Okay, I see. There you are. Go ahead.
Yes, so my neighbors have brought up quite a few of the concerns that I have in common with them. I too am a little concerned about the lots 5 and 6, basically spanning that easement. I also have a concern that a cul-de-sac, whether it's paved or gravel, or whether it's gravel to begin with and paved later, over an easement is going to be problematic because the utility, should it need to, will simply come and dig it up, which could possibly isolate lots 3 and lot 2. That would not be really good for anyone who would want to purchase one of those 2 lots or both of those lots. I also have a concern that my neighbors have not brought up, and that's a drainage concern. If you look at the aerial view, if you will, there's several, I guess, on these reports. You will see that there are at least 2 or 3 arroyos that cut diagonally across lot 7 and diagonally across lots 5 and 6, and flow north of the Hills or the Lucademos current residence, and then flow on down and across Horton. And I know that those arroyos, although they do not flow very often, they do flow quite fully. And I've personally had the experience of seeing the one that crosses Miss Simmons' lot, which is my next door, flow at least 300 feet wide and 4 feet deep. And comes roaring through in quite large quantity. So the bisection of lot 7 by the arroyo means the buildable area on that lot pushes a home very much up into the southwest corner of that lot, I would think. Now there's another arroyo that flows directly out of the southwest corner into that very low area. And that is flowing from my neighbor to the south's property across the corner of my lot. So even that corner might not be a really good spot for a home. So the configuration of the lots, I think, needs to be considered very, very seriously. I would also agree with Ms. Burke that a stipulation that the covenants for this property be presented before a final plat is granted. I don't know if that's a traditional method of proceeding, but I would certainly hope to see those included in the package prior to the granting of a subdivision. I also have some concerns about getting high-speed internet in. Many of you know I am an IT guy. High-speed internet is kind of my bread and butter, and to have it here would be really, really good. I have been talking with Plateau as well on how they can get it here, and that easement would be the ideal way. So if Mr. Hill and Ms. Lucadamo would take a serious look at perhaps reconfiguring this, I would highly recommend it. I would think that the 2 lots, 5 and 6, might not be super saleable with a 35-foot easement bisecting those lots. Also, lot 6, there would be an interesting difficulty, I think, perhaps building up a building platform somewhere on that lot. And with that, I'll hand it all back to you. Thank you.
Thank you,
May I go to Councilor Abrams' comments?
Mr. Abrams, can you state your address for the record?
Oh, well, according to the map here, it is 20 Moondust Lane. It's actually 26, but they have me as 20.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other callers that wish to address this matter and give public testimony? Anyone else online or in the room?
May I reiterate something?
Yes, please state your name and address.
Rita Lori Simmons. And I have lot 21, number 21, Moondust Lane. And then I have a property line. I'm sorry?
Sorry, there's a lot of feedback and I wasn't sure that that was you, but go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I've lost sales to the fact that there was a water line easement that dissected one of my lots, and it was a Hill family pipeline for cattle, and it had fallen into disuse. But the fact that that easement still exists cost me a sale, because they felt that eventually that easement could be used for many other things. But if I were to redo this subdivision, I would really consider lot 7 as part of your let me see here, the tract 5 lands of Hill, and simply divide tract 4 lands of Hill into 8 lots. It would be simpler using that roadway and putting a lot north, two lots north, 2 lots south. And then if indeed you needed a cul-de-sac, you could come down between lots 6 and 5 to your lot 7 just as easily. So I wonder if you won't please reconsider how well this has been pointed out. And I think we're all pretty much in agreement that we would like to see that, and hopefully you can reconsider. Thanks once again.
Thank you.
And I won't re-interrupt you.
Thank you, Rita Loy.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, at this point, we'll ask the applicant if they have any questions.
I really don't have any questions, Madam Chair. I'm willing to address the comments that I heard tonight, if you'd like.
Yes, that would be fine.
Mr. Newstead, at 20 Via Galan, septic, as Brad mentioned, are regulated by the state. After the soils are rigorously tested to make sure that they will accept a septic tank. On these lots, there are 8 lots. One of those large lots currently has a house on it, currently has a septic tank on it, on lot 8. Water table is not known to be any shallower than 300 feet in this area. There are, I guess we should have mentioned this before, there are 4 2.5 acre tracts. There are 3 5-acre tracts, and there is 1 12-acre tract to comprise this entire property. Meredith Conant, at 3 Corte, I'm not sure what she said, Corte something, was concerned about the maintenance, impact of the maintenance on Horton Road. Obviously, all the roads maintained currently by the county and the town of Edgewood have impact when somebody moves in. Every new house that you see out there has an impact on your roads. And you can drive up and down 344, you can drive east and west on Deagle Road, you can drive pretty much anywhere in the town and see new construction, which is a healthy thing, that's a good thing. And do they impact your streets? Yes. Actually, they impacted Appaloosa, it sounds like, to the point that you are going to budget some paving work in that neighborhood. And certainly that's just one of many that need it. And certainly only one of many that will come before you and need it in the future. Those decisions are up to the commission, and I'm sure you'll do what needs to be done with that. Linda Burke, I did get an address of Moondust Lane. Linda Burke's, Moondust Lane doesn't go through where the utility easement is. The utility easement lines up, as Rita Lois said, between Rory on the east side of Horton and Gavilon, via Gavilon on the west side. But Moondust is to the south of there, and opening that up there would simply shove her traffic onto her neighbors. So all the people that are on Moondust in the south part of that neighborhood there might prefer to go up to Gavilon and out to Horton. And guess what's going to happen to Gavilon? You heard, I think he said you had 120 signatures on a petition to pave Appaloosa because of drainage concerns and dirt and dust blowing. The same thing will happen if you open that up there. All that traffic will go from that neighborhood across the north part of this out here and go out there. And I feel very sorry for the 4 people that live on that little cul-de-sac. It's not a cul-de-sac, it dead ends into this property. It was never a cul-de-sac. It's a private access easement. We couldn't even use it without their permission to open it up. And I doubt very seriously that the people that lived on it would be willing to have all the neighborhood traffic all of a sudden start going down Gavilon out to Horton Road. It's just moving it from one problem area to another is all that does. The utility easement is a utility easement. It does have internally water line in it. I don't know. I haven't reviewed that easement in a very long time. I don't recall exactly how it was granted. I was under the impression that it was granted specifically to Intranosa or El Monte Sol, whichever the case may be, as a water line. So in that regard, I don't know if any old utility can come in there and share that easement with the Intranosa Water Company or not. I don't know. It is an easement that was been granted, and it has, as far as I know, it only has the 1 6-inch water line in it today. I rather doubt that it would be able to be shared by other utilities, underground dry utilities, gas, or anything else. Certainly, that would have been a nice way to do it. However, Via Gavilon was platted and sold to all these people with a dead-end street. No promises were ever made that that would go through. It would open up. The owners have studied the property. They've lived there for some time. Brad has studied this property for a very long time. And we feel like we have adequate building places for all of these lots. These lots are shaped and configured and sized because of the drainage impacts. We will be doing a drainage impact study and a train management plan, as well as a utility distribution plan, which the utility companies will sign off on before we come back to preliminary plat, or excuse me, as part of the final plat process. Access to the west won't change as far as Mrs. Burke is concerned. We are not changing any of the access points that are over to the west side of the property. We're not making any changes to the access that is already there, that has been there and was there when they bought the property. Terrain management plan, after preliminary plat approval, the next step is for us to begin the engineering on the terrain management plan and do the drainage plan. And at that point, engineering may identify some drainage patterns that we may need to mitigate. But as far as the design, the overall concept of design, this design right here, we feel like we have adequate building places. We can manage the stormwater adequately the way this is designed. If we design it a different way, it would negatively impact the way we manage our stormwater on those arroyos they're talking about. And Mr. Abrams says he lives on moon dust, which is, I thought he lived on Via Gavilon, but I guess not. Anyway, Moon Dust Lane is a cul-de-sac. It doesn't go all the way to the west property line of this property. It's a cul-de-sac in the center of the 10 acres. There's 4 2.5-acre lots on the cul-de-sac. So that one doesn't go all the way through. The one to the north is a private easement. Via Gavilon is a private access easement. And those people would have to say whether or not they want to allow the traffic through their neighborhood to be increased by opening up a road out to Horton Road. I seriously doubt that. We have pondered this design and this project for several years. Brad initially started on this back near the end of his term as mayor, however long ago that was. Seems like forever, but maybe I'm just getting old. And initially, we contemplated different access points. We actually made a submittal to the town, and we were strongly criticized because we wanted to use Hawkeye to the north up there and do this road layout completely different. Come to find out, Hawkeye, they want that to be their own road, their private road. They don't want to share it with us, even if we shared maintenance with it, widened it, improved it, or anything else. They want it to stay the way it is. So after a lot of thought process has been put into it, and Brad and I have studied this property and studied the drainage patterns pretty good, I believe. I think at this point we're ready for preliminary plat approval so that we can go ahead and get the engineering and the stormwater management plan underway. As I said, if we hit the wall on some of the engineering, stormwater drainage and stormwater management plan, there is a good possibility that we might want to reconfigure a road pattern or a lot or something like that. But there's a lot of factors, there's a lot of constraints that go into the design of something like this. You've got utility constraints, you've got access constraints, you've got terrain management, which is drainage patterns, constraints that you have to deal with. And you certainly don't want to create lots that you can't sell. You want all lots to be the lot for somebody. You know, they want to buy all good lots. You don't want bad lots in bottom of drainages and stuff like that that are difficult to build on. Brad and his family have been in the building business a very long time and have done a good job, and we feel like this is our best shot at it, and we would consider your serious deliberations for approval of this preliminary plat tonight. Thank you.
Okay, we do have a hand raised, and since we're still in the public hearing portion, I will allow it. Please come up, sir, state your name and address again for us and your comment.
I just wanted to comment. My name is Peter Newstead. I live at 20 Via Gavilon. And all I can tell you as
far as the other utilities are concerned in Via Gavilan, going past my property, we have gas and electric power in that easement. I can't tell you what's going on beyond my property, but I can tell you that much. It's already there. It goes all the way down via Gavilan. Just so you might check with both those utilities, obviously. I think there might even be phone in there, because I had staked out some stuff, because I had some irrigation issues. I had to do some excavation, and in fact, they staked out the world. Yeah, I had every color you could think of, so by all means, check with the other utilities. I just wanted you to be aware of it, so you don't you're gonna run into a nightmare.
Thank you. Okay, for the applicant, anything else?
I'll just make one final.
Yes, please.
So I just want to let the neighbors know that we respect their comments. I want to assure everybody that it is our intent to enhance the value of properties in that area and not detract from it in any way. It certainly doesn't benefit us to create a development that does not conform with the area, and as best we can, we will seek to do a quality development that honors not only the town of Edgewood, but the history that was conveyed as far as what my family has done in the past. And so we do intend to build really high quality development here. So I just want to assure all the neighbors of that. And just one final statement, I did not cross-examine anybody out of respect to them, but I do want to just affirm that I did not hear a single fact presented that refutes the staff report that the application conforms with all aspects of the town ordinances and meets that intent. So you heard no testimony disputing that.
Thank you for those comments and that affirmation as well. Okay, I think we'll close the public hearing portion of this.
Madam Chair, if I may?
Yes.
I just wanted to add something really quick on the issue of the emergency access that was brought up to Santa Fe County Fire, and they did determine that that did not have to be done, that there weren't enough houses that it needed to have another way of egress. So I just wanted to let you all know that.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions of staff or the applicant from the commission?
I have one for Tim.
Commissioner Powers.
Tim, I've heard the applicants say that they would want to restrict mobile homes possibly with covenants. It's my understanding that we can't restrict mobile homes by our zoning. Is that correct?
That would be manufactured homes. Mobile homes go in different zoning. So specifically, we can't box them out. As part of your approval, though, you can require this subdivision to have covenants. But we don't specifically, as the town, enforce covenants.
And can we specify what goes in those covenants?
Yes, for conditions of approval of the subdivision, you can.
Mr. Najjar, are you with us still?
I'm sorry, it is breaking up on my end. Can you please repeat the question?
Sure. The question, well, go ahead, Commissioner Powers.
My question is, I understand that there are laws that prevent a municipality from excluding mobile homes through zoning. And whether or not you can specifically include restrictions that exclude mobile homes as a requirement or as a condition of approval through a covenant or any other function?
Through a covenant, yes, you can. That isn't something typically decided by the commission. That's more just through the independent developer.
Yeah. So we don't, my understanding is the developer or applicant would control their own covenants. Is that correct?
That's correct. As long as they're consistent with state law.
Okay, thank you.
I did want to hear from our roads director about any concerns and possible solutions to what's been presented about the road.
Well, like was stated earlier, you will always have an impact whenever you do any type of building, bringing in new homes, new people, new businesses. Yes, there will be an impact to it.
Any solutions that you can think of? Anything that will impact the town financially?
Eventually, we're going to have to pay to keep up with the amount of traffic and the amount of people who are moving here.
Madam Chair, can I make a comment on that part?
Yes, Commissioner Oneida.
As far as the roads go, and also along the subdivision, in order for the town to accept the roads, it's my understanding that they have to meet certain standards. And in order to meet those standards, they're pretty high. So the subdivision in itself will do its part in making sure that those roads that they have created meet all of the standards. Now, the surrounding roads, if they're maintained by the town or by the county, they too must meet standards. So, as long as we're maintaining the roads to a certain degree, then, like everybody has said, eventually, and hopefully all the towns and all the roads in the town of Edgewood would be paved. Who knows how long that would take? But I believe that is a strong possibility as we see a lot of the roads being paved now. You guys heard one of the variances earlier today where we worked with them so that they could give us better roads in this area. So, and also, while I have the mic a little bit, I want to talk about the utilities. The utility companies are not just going to let that subdivision come in without meeting certain specs. They're going to make darn sure that all of the utilities that are in are much greater than what they've been 20 years ago. The standards have improved dramatically. So the getting into the infrastructure of the subdivision is, they're quite a ways away from getting to that point. But I welcome them and applaud them for trying to make an area meet such a high standards. I have worked with utility companies for a number of years, and I do know how strenuous they are. They don't let us just do anything. The gas company puts in high pressure gas lines to make sure that they supply the entire area with fuel. If the gas line, if EMW is there, that's the way they work. Otherwise, they'd have to be pretty much propane tanks. But it seems to me, as one of the gentlemen said earlier, that he knows that they have natural gas out there, then I would know, and I would almost bet that that is a high pressure gas line going there. So I'm not concerned about the utilities, merely because we all know what it is that we're facing with today's technology, and we all need it. So that's just my 2 cents.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions of the staff or applicant? This is the commission's time to discuss the case.
I have a question for the applicant.
Yes, Commissioner Powers.
I heard Ms. Burke talk about an emergency access gate, and I'm trying to understand what that is. That if a fire came from the west, like a grass fire, that moon dust abuts the property to the west, and she's requesting an emergency access gate through there? Is that what you understood?
I wasn't real sure what she said, but Moondust Lane is a cul-de-sac that dead ends 300 feet west of the west property line here. Now, Via Gavilon, as you see on the plat, comes right up to the property line. It's a 25 and 25 foot private utility easement going west. But Moondust is a cul-de-sac in the middle of a 10-acre piece that has 4 2.5s around it. Doesn't go all the way to this property even. So
If I could clarify, I think that Mr. Oden may have misunderstood the meaning of what I meant by emergency egress and the location for it. I did not intend for emergency egress to go through Moondust because, as Mr. Oden said, it's a cul-de-sac that dead ends. I meant for emergency egress to be at Via Gavilon, where the road continues through to the property line, and really to only be for emergency use, not to continue through the property and change the traffic flow of the area, strictly for emergency egress. Because there are currently 19 homes in that area and growing, because there's a number of empty lots in the area west to the proposed development. So there will be more homes in short order.
I don't have any response to that, Commissioner.
Okay, can I ask you about, I also heard her say something about broadband easements or access. Are these easements that run through the property available for the adjacent properties for utilities like that?
I don't know. It's my understanding that 38 foot was a water line easement only that was granted specifically to the water company. If that's the case, it would preclude any other utility from sharing it without the permission. Now, they may give permission. If I'm wrong, then any other utility could use it right now as it is, but we don't control the use of the easement. Once that easement's granted, the owner pretty much loses control on who can and can't use it. So I don't know what the status of it is. If it's water line only, then it would take permission from the water company to share it. If it's not, if it's just a general utility easement, then I'm sure Internosa would like to know that they are staying a certain distance away from the water line that's there. But we certainly don't control it. I mean, it is what it is, and there's have to be worked out between those utilities themselves.
Thank you.
Is there a solution to the emergency egress issue? Is there a solution?
I couldn't recommend a solution, no. When you start talking about emergency access only, you want to build a street across this property in that easement, and I want to know who's going to take care of it, who's going to maintain it, is the town going to maintain it? It's problematic from a developer standpoint, maintenance going forward. It cuts the property in a different way. You're almost forced to do 2-acre lots or 1.5-acre lots, something like that. If you were to open that thing up right there, the drainage is not going to work as well with small lots. There's not that many home sites out there. I think Mr. Abrams said that there are some nice home sites out there, but there's not that many. But if you double that up and you run that road out, you still got to have a road to the south, so you double the amount of roadway for the same amount of lots, basically. So you're pretty much forced to reconsider it and make 15 or 20 1-acre lots, or at least 10 or 12 2-acre lots instead of the way you see it right now with 8 lots. It changes the dynamics totally to try to do something like that.
Madam Chair, I have a comment and a couple questions.
Commissioner Donner?
There's currently no road going through the property, so an emergency egress, I don't understand why it's being asked for. Maybe that's just me, but there's no road going through it now. I think it's kind of a moot point at that point. My question is, when do you plan on having the covenants available? Will that be after the plat is approved?
Normally, Commissioner, that would be when we come back for final plat.
Okay.
We'd be willing to let you take a peek at them.
Okay.
Certainly, we're not in any particular mood to get dictated to as to what the content of those covenants would be. We feel like we're the policeman. You're not.
Oh, and I'm in total agreement. I don't think we should dictate, but we would like.
We certainly would share it, whatever covenants we come up to, and they do intend to have some nice covenants that are fairly restrictive and make a nice development, characteristic of the neighborhood and the other developments that you see around there. Pretty much the same type of thing. And we certainly would share it at the final plat process.
Okay.
Preliminary plat is just that. It's just for us as developers to get started and spend some real money after that.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I wasn't trying to dictate by
I know you weren't.
I think you should have the right to choose.
But you certainly
to keep the character.
We certainly share those with you at that point, typically.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Well,
Did you have a comment, Mr. Hill, on the emergency?
Yeah, just a couple of quick comments, just to reiterate. So you heard testimony from the experts, which was Santa Fe County Fire, that there is adequate access for that development to the west. That's the expert testimony you heard. You heard non-expert testimony, and you as a judicial body have to weigh the difference between what expert testimony says and weigh that very differently than just a layperson's opinion. I respect everybody's opinion, but like any court, expert testimony takes precedence. As far as the covenants, the only thing I would say is that entire area historically was developed by my family from basically the 60s on. And as you may be aware, one of the first things that we did 30 years ago was deed restrict everything against mobile homes at that time. That's what they were called. Now they're called legally manufactured homes. Again, there's a legal definition of mobile home, which is not even in play here. But manufactured homes, yes, we can deed restrict that everything will be site built. It is our intention that we will be the builders of every home in this development. I'm not saying absolutely we would not allow another builder to come in or an owner to buy a lot and say I want to use my own builder, as long as the design of that home will be approved. So there will be things like minimum home sizes. There will be design criteria. We want to keep the area consistent with what's there. That's why we have had successful development in that whole corridor of Edgewood in the past. And so that's what we intend to do with this property as well.
Thank you. Okay, Commission, any other discussion or questions? Our time to discuss amongst ourselves if we like. Commissioner Brennan? Anything?
No, I'm good.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Anaya?
hearing no discussion from the commissioners, I'd like to make a motion, please.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 5, application for Tammy Lucadama, I'm sorry. I knew I knew that one. For a preliminary plat subdivision of 2 lots into 8 at track 4 and 5, north 1/2, south 1/2, south 4, Township 10 north, range 7 east, and northeast quarter, southeast quarter, section 5, township 10 north, range town 7 east of 19.9 acres each, aka 251 Horton Road and 267 Horton Road, NMPM, Town of Edgewood, Santa Fe County, New Mexico, with the understanding that they do have to bring this back for a final, and with a final, we'll be able to clarify a lot of the concerns that we have at this, that the community has at this time.
I will second. Any other discussion from anyone at this point? Tim, I just wanted to double check with you. Any final comments?
No, Madam Chair, I would just remind you all to make sure that the public knows the appeal process as well for all of these, that there is the right to appeal.
Okay. So we're stating for the record that they do have the right to appeal.
Correct, for all three matters.
Okay. For all three agenda items in the public hearings this evening, the public does have the right to appeal. Anything else on that, Tim?
No, that was it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much for being with us. And I guess we'll do roll call vote on our motion in second. So Commissioner Powers?
Aye.
Commissioner Donner?
Aye.
Commissioner Anaya?
Aye.
Commissioner Brennan?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Can I say something?
Yes. Commissioner Powers?
I'd like to thank Tim. I know there's some extreme difficulties he had in being able to even participate tonight. He did it specifically because these items have been delayed for so long and really put out the applicants. So I want to express my appreciation for Tim for going out of his way. I won't get into the details, but he really overcame some difficulties to do this. And the P&Z board resigning early made these applicants wait, I think, several months. So maybe 4 months. So anyway, Tim, thank you very much for doing that.
And I too, again, Madam Chair and members of the commission and staff, really appreciate that you're here tonight, that you allowed us to be here tonight. It has been a long time. We made an application on this in August of 2021. And here we are 4 months later. But we really do appreciate, I know how difficult it was to get this organized and get this done tonight. And I'm sure the other applicants very much appreciate you being here and wish you good luck in your future. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is public comment. Anyone who would like to speak in the room here, go ahead and come forward. Yes, Mr. Ring. Can you come to the mic?
Ma'am? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
I can, but I'm not certain everyone else.
I was forced to come forward tonight by one of the members of the commission. I won't say who it is. To come forward and get closer to that machine there, whatever it is.
No, not that.
And,
That's just a projector, Chuck.
oh, is that right? Where's the
There's
speakers?
a speaker here somewhere.
Where? Not telling me? Okay, well, anyway, I can thankfully tell you that because I took my mask off and it threw one of my hearing aids off and repaired it automatically. So now I can hear very well. I don't know what happened, but something has been done secretively to help me with my hearing. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Altel.
Well, I've got a
something I'd like to give you, we're trying to reorganize and revitalize the Parks and Recreation. And as such, it was, my opinion, pretty well decimated by the previous administration. And one of the things they did was they revamped the ordinance on Parks and Recreation Committee and kind of took away a lot of our powers. And so I'll bring forward to you, and since we don't have a Parks and Recreation Program Manager, he'd be the one to be contacting you. And once we have one, the committee members will never be talking to you. It'll be through him. Anyway, the ordinance that we came up with was one that we drafted, Roger Holden and the rest of us on the commission. We presented it forward to Mayor Bassett, and he totally rejected it. So Bryce Simmons and I have kind of reworked it, and almost everything that we had recommended with Roger Holden is back in there. The only thing I've added is I'd like to see 7 members on our commission, because there's certain people that I'd like to involve to get more roundabout experience. So if you don't mind, I'll give you a copy of what we propose, and you can say yes or no, and maybe come up with your own. That'd be okay.
Yes, thank you so much. Really appreciate all of your service and your hard work on this, and we will add it to a future agenda.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I only did one cover.
Yes, Linda Wheeler.
I promise not to cry. That freedom that's in this room, let's hope it goes across the nation. You guys are doing a great job. I don't know how you did what you did in the last 2 meetings and have your family still talk to you when you came through the door, including Daisy. Thank you for everything you're doing for us. And there isn't one person in this room, I think, tonight, well, maybe one, that isn't on your side. Thank you. God bless America.
Tell them about your hearing aid being repaired.
Oh, I got it fixed. No.
Great.
What? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else here? And then we'll go online. Jesus, go ahead and unmute the callers. Anyone have a public comment? Go ahead and state your name and your comment.
Well, it's Rita Loy again.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. When it comes to the water company easement, the water company was not in the habit of, in the past, I couldn't speak to today's board, but in the past, their easements were typically non-exclusive. And I believe they promoted the gas company also. So you have a gas line easement there and a water line easement to consider. The fact that there could be other people requesting, I think there's a possibility. I just do want to encourage someone to check with Intranosa and make sure what kind of easement that is. But it was originally granted to El Monte Sol with a forward look to whatever utilities might need it, as well as the road. So by and large, the easement was to be considered road and access, or utility and access easement, to the best of my memory. Just commentary. And I wish everybody the best of luck And I'll see you in the town.
All right, thank you, Councilor Simmons. Anyone else for general public comment?
Yes, this is Cheryl Hubbard.
Hi, Ms. Hubbard, go ahead.
I believe you're having a workshop on capital projects, if I understand the agenda correctly. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So before I get into that, I just wanted to comment. I thought Tim did a good job on the subdivisions and the planning and zoning things tonight. It's difficult to step into a new job like that. I would like to think that we would consider getting Church Road paved. That road was intended to be paved before the Edgewood even became a town by Santa Fe County, and yet that road still sits unpaved. I know there's funds designated toward it, but they're not all there. 333 residents at that time, there may be more now, petitioned to have that road paved, and it skips a lot of traffic from people who come into Walmart from the back way off of Williams Ranch. So I'd like to see it make high priority. The second thing is the pavilion at Venus Park. I know there's supposed to be an enclosure done. I don't know when that's going to happen, but something that in the paving project, the concrete project that was done was overlooked as a wheelchair ramp. I was at occasion there, and people in wheelchairs could not get in there, so I'd like for that to be considered. I hope that we'll consider purchasing Echo Ridge and purchasing land Albuquerque is selling that gives us access to Section 32. And I'd like to see a playground at Venus Park. And I'm interested in the bike park, but I believe the playground should take priority. Details for a BMX bike park. I think it needs more work. Perhaps a committee of people who work on this and could bring something forth and get a lot more details of how all that would work. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other callers or citizens on the GoToMeeting link? Okay. Then I guess we will close public comment, and do you guys want to take a break or you want to keep going? All right, so let's take a 10-minute recess.
Nice going.
At least I'm not. All right, do we have any matters from staff? I think that was the next thing on the agenda.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. I didn't really have too much other than to thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you for accommodating me and bearing with me as I get up to speed on everything. I really do appreciate that. And I did want to remind you all as well that you do need to set a date for the Campbell Ranch appeals. So please do be thinking about that. And that does need to be heard by the governing body.
Oh, Dave, birthday.
Oh, birthday.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, otherwise, that's basically everything I have. So thank you very much. And if it's acceptable by the commission, if I'd be able to be excused, if that's okay.
Yes, that's perfectly fine. Thank you again for being with us.
By all means, Tim, go take care of yourself.
Awesome. Thank you all so much, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Good night.
Okay.
Good night.
Nice, thanks.
Okay, next matters from commissioners. Anything in general comments? Commissioner Powers? No.
I just cleared my throat.
Okay. Nothing else? Go ahead.
The only thing we'll go ahead and say was what I was mentioning earlier, the fact that there's a lack of a American flag for the town hall, and that's something we need to look at in the future and put it on the schedule somewhere.
You know, maybe if I may, this may be a good time for me to bring up this podium. I would really like to get, I was looking at it, we're only about 8 inches off, but it just really seems separated. I think it's this thing. I was wondering if we could look at taking that off. I know there's electrical outlets, but those can be put in lower, down here on the table surface. It just seems like it's a huge separator, and it seems uncomfortable.
Yes, I mean, I think everyone agrees. We got a thumbs up from Commissioner Anaya that it can be done.
I have my saw outside.
Okay, let's move forward to the workshop on capital projects. I just wanted to state that the purpose of this is to get the discussion going amongst the new commission. And also, we do have a deadline on the 13th for the applications to the legislature that they're doing. And I do have a meeting that some of us will attend with the governor's team and former Mayor Marty Chavez on the infrastructure funds and federal funds coming in. And so we just need to be prepared for, you know, what are our shovel-ready projects? What are our priorities? What are we asking for? What are we waiting on? What may need to be engineered rather quickly, if possible? And also, what would be a really, really big project that we would ask for? And we can start working on something to do with that as well, along with the other smaller projects. And so I guess this is our time just to have the discussion. We don't necessarily have to take any action, but at least discuss. So about 9:30. I don't know if you guys want to stop at 10 or just let us kind of go until we feel comfortable. What does the commission want to do?
Go until we can.
All right, well then we'll go
That was
forward.
10 minutes ago.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Well, I guess, you know, in thinking about the capital improvements, Phil and I went to meet with the engineers. We met with Smith and some of the citizens that joined us that have been familiar with this, Sherry Abraham, and Tom McGill. And so we're kind of went through it, trying to find a way to see if these projects are viable. And what I think we learned is that Edgewood 7 and Echo Ridge kind of go hand in hand, the trail and the BLM property down there. And what we learned is that there are right-of-way issues along the trail on Edgewood 7 and some slope issues, but nothing that can't be overcome. The hardest one is the BLM property right-of-way, because you have to go through a federal process, and it could take a year and a half. So the way to solve that, it looked like, was kill two birds with one stone. The conditions of the option on there, if it's still viable, we need to get a copy of it. But it's a very cheap acquisition price, but a condition that we have to do improvements, which is fencing, those little park huts and benches and a parking area. Nothing we wouldn't want to do anyway. So I would really like to put that on the capital improvements list. And we figured out that at least the first half mile or so of the trail from I-40 south, which is on the east side of Edgewood 7, is fairly good grade, no slope problems, and we could phase it. So we could start there and put it all together with the acquisition of our improvements on Echo Park. And so that one seems viable. And then we can deal with some of the steeper slope issues as it goes further south, maybe in a phase 2.
A comment on that. I did get funding from the legislature last year. I think it was 157,000, maybe 151. And I did check with Carla in the past if that was enough to do the improvements. And she said yes, that it would more than cover it. And so I think we're okay on that. It's just that it needs to be executed. It needs to be done, right? Like contracted out.
I'm sorry, what was the money earmarked for?
Echo.
For the improvements.
For the improvements, so that then we can do the purchase.
Done.
And we got a package from them, which we'll have to share with you guys, but it did have a cost estimate for those improvements, which is a little dated, but, things have gone up, but we can, bump it by 25%, figure that we're safe. And I don't remember the dollar amount.
You don't remember the dollar amount?
No.
I would like to see what the plan is on that part. I've been in there quite a bit and have some ideas.
There's a project folder on it, right?
Yeah.
In that room back there.
And I've updated some of the stuff that we received from Sodom Miller. So.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's about 3 miles of trails. It's pretty nice.
No, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Couple of nice 5K trails in there, and it's awesome. I think it's something that we should definitely highlight in the town.
Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't been moved out before. So the other ones were we looked at the ongoing and in progress work that's happening on the sewer plant, and what I could learn about it. I'd like to have the operator come in, and I'd like to meet with the operator as well at some point. But Bohannon Houston is the one who did the engineering on that, and it was a very expensive repair, like $1.2 million. And I tried to suss out from them. We asked them directly whether or not it was going to improve the operation of the plant, because it has been out of compliance pretty seriously as late as June. Those are the last reports we have. Actually, we should have had updates monthly. But it doesn't look like it's going to improve the operation any, and it was just repairs, which is a lot of repairs, 1.2 million. Right. They changed the screens. They went to a little heavier duty screen, but they really didn't like the answers we were getting. It didn't seem as though it was very helpful. So I think we're going to have to come up with 2 or 3 pathways, conventional system lagoons to add. There's one that seems like a viable alternative, at least for now, which is to add a couple of lagoons, because the package plant at Paco is about the same kind of plant we have here. There's 2 differences with the Paco plant. One is that they're getting softer water out of the Estancia Basin. It's being piped up there. Our hardness here is about 50 grains, and Estancia Basin water is about 12, which is significant. The other difference is that everything in Paco that enters that plant goes through a septic tank first. So they're taking out a lot of the solids, you know, and it's already kind of pre-digested. But we can mimic that with a couple of lagoons, and aerate those lagoons and get a lot of that already digested before it even enters the plant. But we have to look at feasibility of those. But I think a no-brainer on the capital improvements list would be a design, feasibility study, design, construct, alternative sewer treatment for the town. And that would encompass, we'll make sure it's all encompassing. So we could do lagoons, we could do a different kind of digestion. There's some units we can add on to the existing plant, membrane reactors, I think they call them, that will add some digestion capability. But I think we ought to put it on the capital list. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I thought it was my understanding that we really couldn't do anything adding on to the existing plant.
Well, Bohannon said we could. We'd have to investigate that a little bit. And we have other engineers that we could contact. I think we're good. Are we putting out an RFP for engineers?
We can.
I think we should.
And put it out, well, maybe we could do the thing where you can select from several. Because so far, I mean, I thought Souter Miller was wonderful. The guy there was very forthcoming, very informative. Bohannon, I don't know, they were just not as forthcoming. The other thing we talked about with them was the bridge, you know, the bridge over at section 16. A lot of problems with that thing. The way it's designed currently, I would never, as a contractor, I would never build that because I think it's a real problem. They designed it to go down in the arroyo with the pillars or pilings embedded down in the sand. And it's in a floodplain, and the flow analysis drainage showed that where Bachelor Draw meets 344 and goes under there, there's not adequate number of culverts going through there, so it backs up when there's a heavy rain. And it would back up, looks like to me, all the way back to that. So, you know, Phil and I were talking about different alternatives, about moving it upstream, and that was a recommendation of Tom McGill. He did a video. We ought to watch that video again. That was a good video. But I think he was dead on in his conclusions, and that it could be moved upstream. The bridge is about 60 feet long, so you can go bank to bank instead of being in a wider area. One of the best comments I heard from Bohannon was from a different engineer, and he said, if it were me, I would have just run the trail through the arroyo. So anyway, that's Phil. I'm sure Phil's got a different take or more information.
No, I think that it was pretty much online. Going to the sewer plant, trying to retrofit it, trying to make sure that it would be able to handle the growth. We still don't really know at this particular moment in time, but I don't think we need to be dumping in more money just for repairs when we really need to be talking about expansion on the whole thing. So we got a lot of work to do on that project itself. Going over to the bridge to nowhere. I would think maybe just moving that the bridge that we have and just building a new one that would be a pedestrian bridge, which would make it a lot cheaper for one, and a lot more enticing for people to go over and stuff like that. And I think that bridge can be used other places, and I'm going to let Ken talk about that because I think he had a pretty good idea about what to do with that, the older bridge. And so, other than that, I think that, you know, we're moving along. We're working a lot of hours. And, we're trying to find ways to just streamline a lot of the projects, and be conservative at how we do it. So that's pretty much where I think we're at. We still got a long ways to go with meetings with, engineers and, all the other stakeholders that, are involved with the town.
The other thing was that the option on that bridge is if we don't do the project, we'd have to give back, well, it may be negotiable, but it was set up to have to give that money back, which was about $170,000 in grant money, most of which I'm sure went to the engineers. They were a little cryptic and not forthcoming when I asked them questions about their engineering bills. The other thing is, you're talking about a big project. I think maybe a good idea on a big project would be to include water treatment. You know, if we're gonna go that route, do a PPP, a public-private partnership, because I laid it out to the engineers at Bohannon. I said, we've heard everything from the water's too hard and that's what kills the membranes and makes all these repairs necessary, to we're not enforcing our own ordinances, right, around pre-treatment on Walmart and Smith's and restaurants, grease traps, all that. And we could certainly try that first and see what effect that had, if any. Water treatment is another factor, and then the lagoons and pre-treating. But with all of that, I'm sure we would solve the problem. And we would have the bonus of having treated water. The other thing I want to throw out there, I was talking with Ibra a little bit, the Estancia Basin Resource guys, on water, and the other idea, and I'm not advocating any one of these, I'm just throwing these out there, would be to build a water line from about 5 or 6 miles west of us and pump water up here. That is the Estancia Basin water, which is 12 grains of hardness instead of 50.
East or west?
East, sorry. And, yeah, so that would, and it's still kind of hard, but nothing like what we've got. So that's the other option from treatment. And the relative costs are like, $3 million for a treatment plant, up to 5 depending on redundancy, and about $3 million to pipe it up. So, you know, kind of comparable.
Go ahead, Councilor Abraham.
I have a question. I don't know if we can talk during the workshop or whatever, but
I think it's fine.
a couple things that I thought you guys might want to look at is there's a really good PER that was done by Egress Engineering at the end of my first term that we were going to get ready to implement. It has all kinds of ideas about how to take what we have in our plan and use part of it and expand on other parts of it, so that we're not scrapping our plant, but that we can use what we can use and do some other things with it. The other thing, you guys, every single person says we need to enforce the wastewater ordinance. You need to control what is going into our plant.
Yeah. Well, we need to know what's just going on at the time.
Yeah, yeah. You know, so that wastewater plant is, there's a lot of things that you can do with it, and it could be a big project. But to keep on doing what we're doing with this plant, it's not really expandable as the way it is. They cut our permit so that we have even less capacity than we did. We've used all the capacity on the sewer, the residential sewer collection lines that we built. So you need to look at how can you expand that in the future. So look at that old PER from Egress Engineering, and then see what that can help you guys with moving forward. Would be my recommendation. The other thing is I agree with Echo Ridge. If we can get Echo Ridge, you know, it's a piece of property that if we don't purchase it, you know, who's to say that the developer that's building houses right there won't? and then it'll be a housing subdivision. It'll be something we never get back. So that's really important. And then the BMX bike park, I really am an advocate for the BMX bike park. So those are just the things that I wanted to
Thank you.
mention.
Mr. Powers, I got a question. On the money that we would have to pay back on that bridge if we don't use it, does that mean not use it at all? If we use it in a different spot, do we still have to give that money back, or does?
That's a good question. I doubt it. And they don't like failed projects is what they were telling me. They gave me a little insight. One of the guys knows DOT pretty well. And, so they don't really want you to not use it. So I'm sure they would negotiate with us if we moved it, to some other location.
Sorry.
One of the things I was thinking about, we can, for using that bridge, we want to do that bike park, we could utilize that bridge in the design of that bike park, rather it be having the bikes actually traverse over that bridge, or using that bridge where the track would go underneath the bridge, and you could actually have spectators up above to be able to, watch it from there. So there's different things that we could use the bridge in that way and not impact Bachelor's Draw. Because like I said, I was looking at the drawings, and if that bridge goes in there, it creates another bottleneck, and we're just going to create more flooding problems.
I think that's true, and I like that idea, and I wanted to throw this in there, I forgot to mention this. The last estimate they had, that we had a single bidder, right? Whenever you have a single bidder contractor, the prices just go through the roof. So the price to build it and install it, the way it was designed in Bachelor Draw now was $600,000. And there was grant money, I hate to waste any money, even if it's federal money, right? It's still waste of money. So I really like the idea of trying to repurpose it and find a different place to put it.
You could have the track go over and under.
I think that's a great idea. I was thinking.
I think that's a brilliant idea.
That'd be a big draw, don't you think?
It would be.
Oh, yeah, people like bridges.
That's a great idea.
And then you add the historical value of the bridge.
Yeah, and then you have part of the track that's outside and part that's in.
Yeah.
You would get huge amounts of crowds and like pro racers coming out to race on that.
Good idea.
Yep.
So we haven't met with Smith Engineering yet. That's the fellow that was here tonight was from Smith. That'll be tomorrow at 3 o'clock. I wish we could all meet, but of course we can't without a quorum. So we'll try to nutshell it for you like this, and then try to see what's viable and what's not that they've done.
You can always invite them to present here.
Yeah, maybe we can.
That's what they used to do.
Maybe we can do that once we pare it down or figure out a lot of the parameters so we don't waste a lot of time in a meeting. But then, once we get a basic understanding of it, then we can bring them in and everybody can ask questions.
Yeah, you guys met them first and then put it into the agenda for one of the meetings.
Okay, what else as far as projects? I heard Ms. Hubbard suggesting the work on the pavilion, the wheelchair ramp, paving Church Street, which I even had a question on that by roads director. I don't know if you can speak to that if you would like.
Oh,
About Church Street.
Several roads that would definitely benefit us, as far as the community goes. I know Church is really big. That road is traveled a lot. It's a huge road. A lot of people use that coming off of, a lot of people use it coming from the east, coming in this way. They'll dip in the back way. So that church is highly traveled. Another one is East Venus, would be a perfect one to pave. The community, the houses that are being built back there is a lot. We're going to start seeing a big problem coming from there. Horton would be an awesome project if we're talking about big projects, to go ahead and finish paving that out. The amount of people that are back in there, you know, as we've seen tonight, I think it's gonna start growing. So there's several roads that we would benefit dramatically from paving. Not only as a community to give them a better service, but also from a maintenance standpoint,
Have we done any traffic studies?
not that I'm aware of.
I think that's another thing you need to start.
There's some old ones out there that I know of. I know when we first moved out here, we were here maybe 2 or 3 years, and they did a traffic study. They had that thing going across the road in Square H. So I sit there at my office sometimes and I count the cars that go by the house.
They're like counting sheep.
Did you guys ever get the traffic summit?
We do have the trailer, the police department, it's, the message board, I do believe has the ability to count cars, and I'm not sure on speed.
They were supposed to have ordered something, we were supposed to be waiting for it to come in.
Right, we do have that trailer, we do have the capability of counting cars. I don't know what that entails, I don't know what the rules are or how long. I mean, I could definitely look into it. But we do have the ability to count people.
I think that's gonna be real important for us to try to prioritize which roads are gonna be benefit from it.
Right, and another road would be steeplechase.
Do you know, Chuck, I know there were problem after problem on Church, because they should have had this done a long time ago, they've had the money for years. Do you know what was holding that up? I heard something about drainage.
I haven't heard that. We were talking earlier tonight and that was brought up. I have not heard any issues. The only issue that I've been told since I've been here is that COVID hit and the funds were pulled back from it. As far as I know, it's ready to go.
Funds are there.
I don't think it's completely funded.
Okay, we're gonna look into that, I guess.
If it's 60%,
Think Smith did that.
And I don't think the drainage has been addressed.
I remember that being an issue. Smith will tell us about it, so we can report back.
Okay, that would be great.
The Supper's also brought up the purchase of possible land that's owned by the city of Albuquerque that they're trying to offload.
Right. We did review those possibilities, and I guess we'll have to follow up with actually who, or I can't remember exactly where we left off, but we'll have to discuss that. And find out the status.
You know what, do we have an asset management? Audrey?
Yes, I believe we do. That's something that Juan was working on. So again, it's something that we'll have to find.
Yeah, we need to revisit that.
Okay. I was gonna ask you guys, I know we're very careful not to have a quorum, so when you do talk to engineers, can you have them update us so that it's not, not a quorum at all?
Yeah.
And we can talk about here, obviously, it's a public meeting, but, any questions like church and drainage and funding, maybe they could just send an email with all of that to us.
I thought that's what they did.
Well,
You mean, you're talking about Bohannon or?
Yeah, I thought they CC'd all of you guys, because they were asking.
They did a catch-up memo for us, and I thought they had sent it to you guys too, but also I can send it out, can't I, or no? It's just information.
you can send information out, we just can't start discussing.
So Bohannon did one,
Okay.
and then there's
Miller.
and then the packet from Souter Miller. So it'll update everybody.
Okay.
And then we'll have Smith do the same thing.
Okay. Okay, and then we've got, let's see, what else? Section 16 improvements, I think, would be great. There's so many things we can do there. Trails.
Restroom facilities.
Restrooms. All kinds of things. We probably need to check in as to what the district's intention is for this building and this land. We do need to check on that.
She should be here next week on that.
Okay. And there are so many projects, I mean, so many things. So do we need to prioritize, or do you guys think that we should wait till our meeting on the 12th?
We'll try to get all those reports out to you guys so you can be, read them before then.
Yeah.
And then we'll do that with Smith. I'll send out a recommendation. I can communicate, right? Just not discussion on it. What we were talking about tonight, I'll make the list, and kind of comments about the ups and downs of it, and maybe the idea about moving the bridge. So just put all that together, and then at the meeting, we can prioritize if we need to. My understanding is there's gonna be so much money coming down the pike, we may not have to prioritize, but we're naturally gonna have some that we think are more critical.
Right.
The big deal is gonna be there's huge LEDA grants. Our sewer plant is ideal for a LEDA grant because it has to be tied to economic development. We can't hook up many more, if any more, businesses because of the reduced capacity and the bad operation.
Well, water treatment is connected to that as well.
Right.
So the nice thing about LEDA though is there's not a deadline. It's year round. Typically takes about 60 to 90 days to get those grants.
And we got that spreadsheet, right, with all the deadlines from
Dennis.
Yeah, from Dennis. So.
Yeah. But yeah, LEDA, and there's actually quite a few more that we can use, especially for the development of trails and stuff. That'll be more closer to June. Outdoor and Recreation Department, we could probably get a pretty substantial amount of grant money from them.
You know, we ought to calendar all of those deadlines, right, for the different agencies to get money.
I've got a list of all the grants that are available in the state of New Mexico, as well as federal and a few other places.
Great.
So I can share that.
Okay. Yeah, and if we calendar everything on that spreadsheet with the various agencies, that'll help us prioritize what it is. But the first deadline is the 13th. The meeting on the 12th, we'll have to make our decisions.
Yes.
It's gonna come up quickly.
Yeah.
Do we need to talk about somebody writing those grants for us? Because I mean, the 12th to the 13th is not a very quick.
Well, okay, yeah, I think that we're okay on that part as far as the applications for that deadline.
Okay.
And then, go ahead, Commissioner Naya.
No, I'm just saying, we don't have to have the grant on that date.
Yeah, not the grant, we don't. Commissioner Brennan, I was gonna ask if you would be willing to work with Chuck on, the roads and the as far as the counter, and see, you can maybe research it tomorrow and find out how that might work, with getting the count of the numbers on the roads. And
I would imagine possibly if you guys are meeting with Smith tomorrow, Smith Engineering, they're gonna be able to tell us exactly what we need to justify the road, or,
okay.
you know, I'm Coach Cody's pretty sharp.
Would you be available to meet with us for a little bit tomorrow around 3?
Sure, that'd be fine.
And
Okay, so,
get those questions answered.
yeah, not Commissioner Brennan then, we'll leave it to you.
Oh.
Because, well, it's obviously the quorum
Right.
issue, so, and that's a great idea to talk to Smith Engineering, and they already have the meeting tomorrow, so.
But I think it would be valuable, Chuck, if you were to get us a list of maybe 5 roads that you think would be the most benefit, that the town would benefit from.
I can tell you right off the top of my head. Easement, Horton.
Put it on paper.
Yeah, you can put it on paper.
Sure.
Think about it.
We're old folks.
Prioritize them well.
Wasn't there also a requirement like that, so many residences feeding into a particular road for its qualification for being paved?
Well, I think that you're talking about, planning and zoning was working on getting that put together, that it would lay out when, I think that it spoke more toward, when communities are being built, as to how many homes were coming in
And I seem to recall that Mr. Cog has some kind of, in their planning stuff, they have some kind of way of determining, traffic studies and how it works and which ones ought to be paid.
They do.
They do?
And we have some of that already done through the former, P&Z. We have some of that documentation already that, perhaps if Stephanie could look through the packets from, I want to say it was probably 2018, 2019.
You wanna look at that, Ken? Yeah. Since we can't all work on this.
Yeah,
other
can all
deal.
work on everything. So.
Sure, it'd be nice to have all of that moving forward at the same time. Then it's not, you know, you've got a lot of management and experience with people. At some point, I'd like you and me to go meet with Chuck and see what's going on over there, meet the road guys and talk about efficiency and, Chuck, what would it take to get that other road grader moving? Just more people?
Yes, like I said, it's previous, I'm waiting on the trailer and the roller to come in, and then hire another couple guys.
Okay.
And that would give us the ability to split into 2 crews.
Yeah.
So we're working far north or far south, I'll probably pull them together so that I can have the ability to use both water trucks. Once we start getting up on Entrenosa Road, Nugent Road, it becomes an issue with hauling water.
I see.
But other than that, I'd be able to break them into 2 crews.
I've seen some magic happen in the construction business when you get 2 crews competing against each other. Well, it's past my bedtime. Are we done?
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So,
Second.
I couldn't even get out.
Thank you, Mr. Najjar, for joining us, and the public that is left, we appreciate you.
Thank you as well.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, good night, everyone.
Good night.